मुझे वो स्काउट याद है, किसी ने चू करी चा कर देगा।
नहीं भाई, खून पसीने का आगे चीजें देखी नहीं थी, तो हमारे लिए ग्राउंड पे हर चीज होती थी। उस लौंडे को तुमने उठा के बिठा दिया कैमरा के सामने। मैच्योरिटी लोग बोलते हैं विथ एज आती है, मैं डिनाई करता हूँ। कंपटीशन देख के तो सही बता तो ट्रॉफी ले सकते हैं।
यो व्हाट्स अप, कैसे हैं आप सब? मेरा नाम है क्रैट और आपका मैं स्वागत करना चाहूंगा BGMS सीजन 3 शोडाउन के अंदर। अब ये एक स्पेशल सेगमेंट है, कॉज जो गेस्ट है वो भी काफी ज्यादा स्पेशल है। तरीके से इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है, बट फिर भी एक कहते हैं ना वो ये स्माइल के साथ एक बार तो बनता है छोटा सा इंट्रोडक्शन।
हे गाइस, आई एम स्काउट ओपी हियर विद मनु।
ओह, मतलब मैं बोलता रहता हूँ 2019 मेरे इंस्टा को पूछ भाई ने दिया था। मतलब एक बहुत बड़ा है, एक नाम रहता है। बट थैंक यू सो मच ब्रदर, टाइम निकालने के लिए। मुझे पता है कितने 100 सरदर्दी के बीच में होता है सब कुछ, बट टाइम निकाला, अच्छा लगा। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल BGMS में स्वागत है सर, कैसा लग रहा है?
काफी अच्छा लग रहा है, काफी लॉन्ग टाइम बाद मैं खेलने वाला हूँ एक लैन, सो इट फील्स ग्रेट।
लास्ट टाइम आए थे बट मैचेस के अंदर थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट राइट था। इस बार तो होगा ना हमारे साथ 22 दिन?
इस बार पूरा टाइम हो, 22 के 22 दिन हो।
यो इसका मतलब टिकने वाला आखिरी तक है। सो अभी चालू करें, मतलब कुछ सवाल लिखे, कंटेंट मशीन हमारे चेतन भगत ने। रेडी है इसके लिए?
जरूर।
ठीक है। सो अभी आपकी टीम मुबारक है एक और बार भाई, क्या बात है। मेंटोर करा एक लाइनअप को और लाइनअप ऑफिशियल जीत गया है। यहाँ पे स्टेज पे मैंने चेहरे पे ना वो देखा, मतलब कहते ना एक कहते थोड़ा सा ऐसे था कि बोलना बहुत कुछ आता था, मौका नहीं मिला। बट आज यहाँ पर अगर मौका है तो हो जाए यार।
अरे बहुत सारी चीज़ होती है जो हम कैमरा पे बोल नहीं सकते, और स्पेशली इमोशंस को आप कितना ही वर्ड से डिस्क्राइब कर पाओगे, वो प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है। और उस टीम के साथ अलग ही कनेक्शन है, क्योंकि 2 साल 3 साल लग गए थे उस टीम के साथ एक ही छत के अंदर रह के हमने मेहनत किया था। पहले ऑफिशियल में हम लोग 3rd आए थे। सेम स्टोरी रिपीट हुई हम लोग की इस बार में कि हम लोग बाहर हो गए थे क्वालिफायर्स से, फिर इन गेम क्वालिफायर्स आए। तो इन गेम क्वालिफायर्स आना बहुत ज़्यादा एक हार्श जर्नी रहता है, क्योंकि आपको पता नहीं कब क्या हो सकता है। क्योंकि वो जो नॉकआउट स्टेज होता है वो मेरे हिसाब से फाइनल से भी ज़्यादा डेडली स्टेज होता है। आपके पास मैचेस कम रहते हैं और आपको हर एक मैच अच्छा खेलना है, क्योंकि अच्छा नहीं खेलोगे तो आप जो आपका सपना उसी पॉइंट में ख़त्म हो गया है। तो हम उस पॉइंट से आके, और जैसे फाइनल्स पहुँचते मेरे टीममेट्स ने मेरे को सीधा ये बोला था कि भाई हम तो ये जीत रहे हैं, वी आर विनिंग दिस। तो एक डेस्टिनी सेट था और एक वाइब था कि यस वी आर विनिंग दिस। हाँ, एक अलग ही एक्सपीरियंस था, अलग ही फीलिंग था। और इमोशनल तो आई थिंक मेरे से ज़्यादा बहुत लोगों के लिए एक पर्सनल विक्ट्री थी। ऑडियंस हो गए, बहुत सारे ऑफिशियल स्टाफ हो गए जो लोग मेरे साथ जुड़े हुए स्टार्टिंग से, जो मुझे पर्सनली जानते 2018 से, उन सब के लिए आई थिंक एक इमोशनल कनेक्ट था उस टीम के साथ। और एक पर्सनल विक्ट्री मेरे लिए नहीं थी, बहुत बड़ी फैमिली के लिए थी।
नो डाउट वहाँ पे जितने भी प्लेयर मौजूद थे ना, जो स्टाफ में भी हो गए, उर्वेश हो गया, ऑसम हो गया, वो सबके चेहरों पे जरूर झलक रहा था। बट अब स्काउट, यू आर वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट प्लेयर इन द कम्युनिटी। मतलब आज भी वो कहते हैं ना वो 24 घंटे वाली हसल, वो ग्राइंड रुका नहीं है। और जबकि तेरे टाइम के जो प्लेयर हैं वो तो रिटायर से भी आगे जा चुके हैं। ऐसा क्या है तेरे में जो बाकी लोग मिस कर रहे हैं आज भी?
यार सपने बहुत बड़े देखे, तो सपने अभी तक कंप्लीट नहीं हुए, तो ऑब्वियसली इसलिए मैं मेहनत कर रहा हूँ। उनमें से एक बहुत बड़ा सपना था कि इंटरनेशनल में जाके इंडिया का फ्लैग के साथ जीतना है। वो नहीं पता कैसे होगा कंप्लीट, कुछ ना कुछ आगे जाके रास्ता बनेगा होपफुली। बट तब तक मेहनत करेंगे जब तक बाहर अपन नहीं ला पाते ट्रॉफी।
ये तो मैंने काफ़ी बार सुना है कि ये हमेशा से एम रहा है कि इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर्स पे जाकर देश का नाम रोशन करना है।
100%।
बट अभी यू हैव टेकन मोर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। आप अकेला प्लेयर नहीं रह गए, आप एक मेंटोर भी हो, आप एक कंटेंट क्रिएटर भी हो। ऐसे ट्यूल के इतना बड़ी ऑर्ग है, प्रेशर रहता है उसका, ब्रांड वैल्यू अपनी आपको मैनेज रखनी है, कॉन्स्टेंटली आपको कंटेंट फ्लो करवाना अपने सोशल्स पे। ये सब कैसे मैनेज हो रहा है ब्रो? यहाँ पे मुझे 12 घंटे कम पड़ते हैं भाई पूरे ऑफिस में।
यार आई फील लाइफ सबके लिए अलग अलग रहती है, सबका स्ट्रगल अलग रहता है। मेरी स्ट्रगल किसी बंदे के लिए बहुत सपना रहेगा, किसी के लिए मेरा स्ट्रगल कुछ है नहीं, किसी के लिए मेरा स्ट्रगल हर चीज़ है। और मैं भी जिन लोगों को सोचता हूँ कि यार वो बंदा इतने टॉप लेवल पे, क्या पता उसकी लाइफ की असल अलग है। सो मेरे लिए है कि मैं बहुत ब्लेस्ड हूँ कि मेरे को एक गेम खेलने के हर चीज़ मिलते हैं जो मुझे पसंद है। मेरा जो मनपसंद चीज़ मैं वो कर रहा हूँ, मुझे मज़ा आ रहा है। बहुत लोगों को जो पसंद नहीं है, उन लोग वो लाइफ के एक लूप में फंसे रहते हैं, स्टिल उन लोग एक लाइफ जी रहे हैं। तो मैं तो बहुत ब्लेस्ड हूँ कि मैं एक बहुत पीसफुल आरामदायक लाइफ जी रहा हूँ। अगर मैं इसमें कंप्लेन करने लग गया तो भाई फिर क्या ही रखा है। तो इसलिए मैं इसको एक ब्लेसिंग से लेके हर चीज़ को मैं खुशी खुशी करता हूँ।
तो देखने का नजरिया है आपको,
और इट्स ऑल अबाउट द पर्सपेक्टिव।
सो अब मैं भी आई ऑलवेज लुक अप टू यू कि भाई इस बंदे ने, बिकॉज तू मेरे से छोटा उम्र में, बट व्हेन आई सी यू डूइंग सो गुड इन योर करियर, मेरे से लाखों लोग हैं देश में यार जो देखते हैं कि स्काउट भाई जैसा बनना है। अपने निंजा लॉर्ड को देख लो, स्काउट भाई जैसा बनना है। कितने सारे लोग हैं जो अभी T1 में अच्छा खेल रहे हैं, दे स्टिल लुक अप टू यू एज अ होल, एक एज अ ह्यूमन। बट जो लोग एज अंडरडॉग जो नए आ रहे हैं मार्केट में, बिल्कुल कच्चे हैं, उनके लिए कोई ऐसी 2-3 टिप्स बता दे जिससे कि मतलब दे हैव अ गुड रन?
बहुत एक सिंपल एकदम कुछ शब्दों में बोलूँगा तो लेट योर पैशन ड्राइव योर करियर, नॉट मनी। पैसा है जो है ना वो कभी भी आएगा कभी भी जाएगा, आज है कल नहीं है, कल है आज नहीं है, सिंपल चीज़ है। बट पैशन के लिए आप करोगे ना, आपको एक तो खुशी मिलेगी, आपका जो फोकस रहेगा एक जगह रहेगा कि आपको अचीव करना है। और पैसा बाई प्रोडक्ट है, टू बी ऑनेस्ट बाई प्रोडक्ट। आप अच्छा करोगे तो आपको पैसे मिलेंगे, आप खराब करोगे तो वो कम मिलेंगे, बट आपको मिलना ही है, जितना आप डिजर्व करते हो उतना मिलेगा। तो अंडरडॉग्स को मैं तो यही बोलूँगा कि यार आप एक सपना देखो जो बहुत बड़ा है, छोटे सपने मत देखो कि यार वो गाड़ी खरीदनी, ये मटेरियलिस्टिक चीज़ें कभी आप कर सकते हो। ऐसा कुछ सपना देखो ना जिसके लिए आपको टाइम लगे, सालों लगे, तब उसको अचीव करते 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 आप बहुत सारी चीज़ें उसके नीचे वाली अचीव कर लोगे। तो मेरा ये मानना है कि सपने बड़े देखो यार,
मतलब एक बड़ा सपना जिसके अंदर छोटे छोटे
मल्टीपल चीज़ें निकल जाएगी अंदर।
थोड़ा इंटरस्टेलर वाला इंसेप्शन हो गया यहाँ पे। बट अब ये फाइनल सवाल है स्काउट, ये तो मतलब हैंड्स डाउन है, मतलब इसमें तो हाथ जुड़वा लो ऊपर वाले से, सब जगह से तेरे भी पढ़ लूंगा मैं। मुझे वो स्काउट याद है जो यूट्यूब की ना मतलब 50-60 हज़ार की वॉचिंग में ना किसी को भी भड़का देता था, किसी ने चू करी चा कर देगा, मतलब तुम पहल हम करते नहीं, दूल हम छोड़ते नहीं। वो स्काउट वर्सेस ये स्काउट, जमीन आसमान का फर्क है। गुरुजी कौन सी थेरेपी चलाई है? बिकॉज मैं 2-3 लोगों को जानता हूं, उनको भी जरूरत है
यार। आई फील इसको हम लोग एक वर्ड बोलते हैं जो है मैच्योरिटी। लोग बोलते हैं विथ एज आती है, मैं डिनाई करता हूँ। विथ एक्सपीरियंस आता है, विथ कंडीशंस आती है। आपके अराउंड लोग कैसे हैं वो आपको बहुत इम्पैक्ट करते हैं। बोलते हैं संगति का असर, जो बोलते हैं स्टार्ट सराउंडिंग पीपल विथ सेम माइंडसेट, जो आपको एक्सेल करना चाहते हैं, कि आप वो चाहते हैं कि आप अपने सपने पूरे करो। ऐसे लोग, जब पॉजिटिव एनवायरनमेंट आता है ना, तो अपने आप आपको समझ आता है कि यार 2-3 लोग को उल्टा सुनाने में क्या ही रखा है, एक तो ज़िंदगी है, उसमें तुम एक दिन बर्बाद करो एक बंदे को सुनाने में, उतनी एनर्जी पॉजिटिव चीज़ में डाल दो, तुम्हारा ही फायदा है। वो अलग चीज़ है भाई, किसी को सुनाने के पैसे मिलते तो वो भी कर लो, ज़्यादा आसान है चिल्लाना ही तो है। बट जोक्स अपार्ट, बहुत अलग फेस था वो। मैं एक यंग लड़का था जो स्पोर्ट्स बैकग्राउंड से आया था, तो हमने भाई खून पसीने का आगे चीज़ें देखी नहीं थी, तो हमारे लिए ग्राउंड पे हर चीज़ होती थी। अब उस लौंडे को तुमने उठा के बिठा दिया कैमरा के सामने, खून पसीने से निकला हुआ लौंडा। अब बाकी लोग जो कैमरा पे आके काम करते थे, उन्होंने कभी खून पसीना देखा नहीं था, तो उन्होंने एक अलग सा पर्सपेक्टिव बनाया था जो होना चाहिए। क्योंकि आप जब सोशल मीडिया पे रहते हो, आप सिर्फ खुद के लिए बात नहीं कर रहे हो, आपसे बहुत लोग इमोशनली कनेक्टेड हो जाते हैं, बहुत लोग मोटिवेट हो जाते हैं, बहुत लोग कॉपी कर रेप्लिकेट करने की चीज़ स्टार्ट करते हैं। क्योंकि हम लोग जिस कंट्री में रहते हैं वो एक इमोशनल ड्रिवन कंट्री है। आप यहाँ पे लोग बहुत इमोशनली कनेक्टेड होते हैं लोग एक दूसरे से। अब वहाँ पे क्या एग्जाम्पल सेट करते हो वो बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करता है। तो सोशल मीडिया एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है हमारे कंट्री में खासकर, कि आप बहुत सारे लोगों को इंस्पायर कर सकते हो, एट द सेम टाइम बहुत सारे लोगों को एक तरफ मूव करवा सकते हो। तो अब वो आपके हाथ में पावर है, आप अच्छे तरीके से करो कि गलत तरीके से करो। पहले रियलाइज़ नहीं होता था कि भाई मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, किसको सुना दे रहा हूँ। मैंने 1-2 बार एक्सपीरियंस किया, छोटे छोटे बच्चे वही चीज़ कर रहे जो मैं कर रहा हूँ, तो मुझे भी खराब लगा मैं क्या सिखा रहा हूँ इनको। कल को अगर किसी का बेटा वो सब चीज़ें करेगा जो मैं कर रहा था पहले, तो उसके पेरेंट्स कभी नहीं चाहेगा कि उसके ऐसा बने। रादर मैं उसको ऐसा चीज़ दिखाऊँ ना जो पॉजिटिव है, अच्छा है। बट हाँ, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मैं स्टिल कुछ हूँ पहले ऐसा, मैं अपना पुराना चीज़ को हटा नहीं सकता कभी, ऑब्वियस रीजंस। क्योंकि मेरे को फेक रहने में कोई मज़ा नहीं आता है, और फेक रहना भी नहीं चाहिए। क्योंकि यार लोग इसलिए मुझे प्यार के
एक दिन दिख ही जाएगा, कितना छुपा लोगे,
कितना भी छुपाने की बात नहीं है, जो तुम हो उससे प्यार करेंगे ज़्यादा मज़ा आएगा। क्योंकि आप एक फेक पर्सनैलिटी को हर बार मेंटेन नहीं कर सकते, यू शुड बी व्हाट यू आर, बट इन अ पॉजिटिव वे।
नो, ये बात मुझे भी सही लगी, बिकॉज कुछ चीज़ें ना एज के साथ नहीं, एक्सपीरियंस के साथ आती है। संगति ना मेरे हिसाब से बहुत सारा काम कर देती है।
100% यार, मतलब बहुत लोगों के लाइफ में ऐसे दोस्त है ना, तुम गलत करो, अबे भाई कर कोई दिक्कत नहीं भाई, सही है, तेरे भाई तेरे साथ खड़ा है।
हाँ, ये गलत
वो सबसे बड़े जो सी वाला वर्ड है ना, वो है वो। ऐसे लौंडे जो गलत करो तो मैं टोके कि भाई तू गलत कर रहा है, ये मत कर, स्टैंड ले, गलत के लिए स्टैंड लो। तुम्हारा बंदा अगर कुछ गलत चीज़ कर रहा है तो उसको रोको, भाई ये गलत है, ये मत करियो। तुम अगर उसको उस चीज़ में आप सपोर्ट कर रहे हो, इट्स कम्प्लीटली रॉन्ग। क्योंकि उसके दिमाग में क्या आ जाएगा, भाई मैं तो सही कर रहा हूँ, मेरे दोस्त मेरे साथ खड़े, दैट्स कम्प्लीटली रॉन्ग। तो ऐसे लोगों को अवॉइड करो।
ये अपना ही स्काउट है, देख लो। पर ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच भाई, टाइम निकाला, मज़ा आया। अब तो बस एक्साइटेड हूँ कि बस तू स्टेडियम पे उतरे और फिर से तहलका मचा दे। कुछ आखिरी वर्ड सही तरफ से?
लोग बोलते हैं कि प्राइम चला गया, मैं तो वही बोलूँगा, मैं तो प्राइम में एंटर कर रहा हूँ अभी।
दैट्स नाइस गाइस। ये थे हमारे तन्मय सिंह एके स्काउट ओपी। कितने सारे हजार लाइनअप खेल लिए हैं, अभी खेल रहे टीम जी के साथ। कौन कौन है तेरे लाइनअप में? सैयद है,
काइलो, सैयद,
कितना कॉन्फिडेंट है? मतलब एक एस्टिमेट देख कितना हो जाएगा, ट्रॉफी दिमाग में ले रहा है, पोडियम ले रहा है, क्या ले रहा है?
टू बी ऑनेस्ट अभी कंपटीशन देख के तो सही बता तो ट्रॉफी ले सकते हैं, क्योंकि अभी तक कोई कंसिस्टेंट टीम नहीं रही है। नो डाउट मैं जिस टीम को मेंटर कर रहा हूँ उन्होंने भी अभी तक लगातार 4-5 टूर्नामेंट इन रो नहीं जीता है। एक बंदा था जिसने ये चीज एक टाइम पे बहुत अच्छे से कर रहा था, दैट वाज डेस्ट्रो, बट उनका भी डिप आया।
गजब।
एग्जैक्टली तो वो बंदा मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा डेकोरेटिव प्लेयर है, बट कोई भी एक टीम अभी तक है नहीं, अगर आप भी वो एग्री कर सकते हो, ऑडियंस भी एग्री करेगी, जो कंसिस्टेंसी दिखाई है अभी तक।
पॉइंट
बहुत गिने जो आप उंगली में काउंट कर सकते हो टीम्स, iQOO सोल, मोगो, एक्सपार्क, और कौन सी है आप खुद बता दीजिए, आपके दिमाग में कुछ है तो।
कंसिस्टेंट तो नहीं है डेस्ट्रो जिस तरीके से 2023 में किया है।
हाँ तो
That's
स्टिल
tough.
वी कैनॉट नेग्लेक्ट व्हाट ही हैज डन।
नो डाउट, व्हाई?
एग्जैक्टली
हाँ,
सो इट्स मोगो, एक्सपार्क, iQOO सोल। मेरे को चौथा, आई मे मिस समवन, बट
सोमनाथ जीता था, बट उसने अब लाइनअप तोड़ लिया,
लाइनअप इज चेंज,
खत्म हो गया बिल्कुल।
उनका स्टार प्लेयर पुकार था।
बट डन भाई, मजा आया स्काउट तेरे से बात करके। एंड मुझे तो हमेशा अच्छा लगता है कि भाई पुराने भाई बैठते साथ वाले, यही है सिस्टम हमारा, ठीक है ना। जल्दी मुलाकात करेंगे, गुड लक फॉर योर मास्टर सीरीज मैचेस। बट यस, सो ये थे हमारे तन्मय सिंह एक स्काउट ओपी, गजब प्लेयर हैं, और ये प्लेयर आपको दिखेंगे मास्टर सीरीज के स्टेज पे अब अगले एपिसोड में। टिल देन कीप गेमिंग।
We're now in the depths of hell, and only the formidable 12 have a shot at making out alive, while the remaining 4 teams, they will be saying goodbye to the BGMS Season 3. Welcome to Android BGMS Season 3, where I'm going to be your host and caster Necro. John alongside with me on the panel, it will be Shai Shanu. And once again, we're back with the playoffs. As I mentioned, the depths of hell. 4 teams have already qualified to the grand finals from the league stage, while the remaining 16 teams still duke it out for those 12 leftover spots.
Some have taken the easy path, you could say, the flying away with the flying colors, but some of them will have to go for that long way. And as you mentioned, the depths of hell, because again, coming up from this situation is going to be very difficult, because all of these teams now who were mentioning that they are still trying things out, are figuring things out, are now going to be actually showing you their true cards.
You've got 8 games in total. 4 of them will be played today and 4 of them will be played tomorrow. And these final 8 chances will be given to you before the bottom 4 teams will be eliminated from this BGMS Season 3 run. And we have seen a lot of those teams struggling. 8-Bit is one of those. Team X-Park, they weren't able to find their groove. Even there was One Blade, there was WSB Gaming. So many teams not being able to perform, but I still think so. In the playoffs, we might just see a different phase.
Absolutely true, because on the last day itself, we did see some glimmer of hopes from not just one team, also from 8-Bit, X-Park, 1-Bit. All 3 of them showed some amazing signs of life. Team Z as well have been showcasing some of their good understanding of the game and the mechanics in a few games. I believe one was on the map of Sanhok, where even Team Z were able to secure a chicken dinner against the side of Revenant. So these are the situations, the scenarios where I get that hope that maybe these teams can perform, because even Godlike has shown a good consistency.
Hands down, but you really got to feel bad for Team Tamilas, man. The way they missed out on that slot in the top 4. Unfortunately, Team Tamilas got dismantled in that last game. Even the first game that they played on the previous day, they were not able to do that great. And that's why Team Tamilas, their slot was taken by Carpedium, which they leaped all the way in the top 3.
Yes, absolutely. And again, this was one of the most consistent teams that we were talking about. But when the push came to show, when the pressure was high, when this team needed to perform in one game, they fumbled. And again, the gap was just too big to bridge, that too in just one game. Even on the map of Sanhok, there were so many troubles. We saw this team getting dismantled and picked apart one after the other. They could not take a full 4v4 fight.
That's definitely true. And then speaking about a team, a champion lineup, X-Park, even they were not able to perform. And that was one of the biggest fumbles in the Season 3 so far. Because in the past tournaments, X-Park lineup was so formidable that everyone was scared of taking a 4-4 fight against them. But then in BGMS Season 3, X-Park, they were not able to come up with that spark that we've seen them with the past.
I mean, most of the matches were played on the map of Erangel either ways, and we normally see this team drop out on their common drop locations. If I'm not wrong, they sometimes drop around the area of Yasnaya too, and we could not see this team get a very good win onto that area itself. And as you mentioned, this is a formidable lineup. This entire lineup is filled with the players who have got the potential of bringing in a 1v4 on the table, and so many of them have shown, and the man himself on the screen, Ninja Jod. I still remember there was a time that this guy single-handedly finished off the enemy, all 4 players, with the weapon he had and with the macros and the micros that he pulls.
I mean, let's take a look at the head-to-head between the opening week and the league week, right? I mean, this is how Xpark started things off in the opening week. They were looking much better. Look at the average of the finisher, 6.5. You compare that to the league week, it's dropped down to massive numbers. You take a look at that, 2.8. That's a drastic drop right there. And even the placement points, 1.25, and then you move on towards the league week, you've only got 0.75. Now, that's a big dip right there.
Absolutely, because even in the points per match, you can see in the opening week itself, they had 10.75 points per game, and that's the average that we thought maybe this team would be able to pull in the survival week and the domination week as well, but that just did not happen. There were so many scenarios, circumstances, possibilities which we always talk about Team Xpark had, but they just could not convert the fights, even though as I'm mentioning, we did see some glimmers of hope over the last day.
I mean, later on, Xpark was playing it quite scared, right? Because they knew the fights are not going their way. They were trying their best to play it as safe as possible, where even teams like Revenant Esports started to take a piece against them. And that's where Xpark, slowly and steadily, they just lost their momentum, they just lost their confidence, and slowly and steadily, they also lost the grip in the entire league week. And that's why Xpark are now over here in the playoffs. In the first place, I did not really expect Xpark to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, even I was expecting that maybe this team would qualify from the top 4 based on the way how they performed in the opening week itself. They were only matched up by the other team, and that was 8-bit. And both of these teams, I mean, seems like they've kind of signed in a pack. If you're top, then we'll also be top. But if you're down on the bottom of the leaderboard, we'll try to chase you down there as well. Because every single time, both of these teams have showcased so much potential, but Team Xpark, again, it just seems that there have been quite a big confidence dip in them.
Hands down. I mean, Shadow 7 as an IGL was not really able to make proper callouts as well. You talk about the 4-on-4 fights. Xpark was definitely choking, but as you mentioned on the last day, Xpark was showcasing some signs of hope, and that was really important for the players, considering they need that momentum inside of the playoffs. And as you move on towards the team stats, look at the stats, man. Not that great. You've got SprayGod, a man who holds so much firepower and potential. He's only got 17 finishes in the span of 24 matches. While you move on towards Sarang, he's only got 19. Ninja Jod, the 2023 MVP, with only 20 finishes in 24 matches. Now that's something that I'm not accustomed to seeing.
Not even 1 finish per game that's the big thing that we notice from all of these teams. And in terms of the power play finishes, yes, SprayGod has 9, Sarang with 10, Ninja with 8, Shadow 6. It's understandable, but most of the scenarios I still remember were where whenever Team Xpark tried to take those 4v4 fights in the power play itself, may it be drop clash or maybe them just trying to find some of the other team, they would always not win those fights. They would lose a lot of members, probably just one surviving if they're lucky.
I mean, Xpark, they were choking up those fights, man. Let's be honest, right? We even saw them face off against Entity, and Equinox's one nade sells in, finds those 3 knockouts. All it takes is that one single moment to flip the odds. But still, Xpark was choking in some of the scenarios that you would not really expect the boys to choke.
True.
And now that's something that might just work against them. Hopefully, they have cleaned their mental slate and moved on forward towards the playoffs with a nice mindset. Because if they're still going to let their past hold them back, then that's going to be a big concern as a team.
As you perfectly mentioned, the big concern as a team, but that's not just for Xpark itself, right? There's also another team that I wanted to talk about and wanted to bring in the conversation. A team who has got one of the most experienced IGL, if not the most experienced IGL in the scene. And I wanted to talk about Revenant itself, right? Because this team has also been struggling a bit.
Hands down, I mean, they've got the most amount of chicken dinners in the entire BGMS Season 3 so far.
Yep.
And still, Revenant Esports not being able to crack the code, not being able to move in the top 4. The only thing this showcases is that the placement points are not going to matter the most, man. What matters is the aggression. What matters is the 4-on-4 fights capability. And that's where Somraj was also taking the charge when it comes to the fights. Somraj was there in the forefront, getting so many points for his team. Unfortunately, Entity, they choked up in the final few games.
Yeah, that's a very big heartbreak, right? And as you mentioned, the man was leading in the charge itself on the map of Sanhok. I do remember on one of the previous days where he single-handedly, with the support of course, 1-blade members as well, spraying down the members of Revenant, was able to finish all of them off. And this was one of the big games which we always talk about, one or the other team needs. And Somraj was the only man remaining for his team alive.
Yeah.
He was picking apart the members of 1-blade one after the other, and he has always showcased some good fragging power. But when it comes to decision making of Entity as a whole, they have shown some big question marks.
Listen, man, as I mentioned, BGMS Season 3 is all about aggression. It's all about getting those elimination points in your hands. It's all about capitalizing on the power play itself. And that's where some of the teams like Xtreme, Global Esports, they prevailed because they like to start things off in the aggressive note. You've seen Xtreme, we call them the bounty hunters. We call them the hunting pack, even though they haven't claimed a single bounty yet, but still they are the bounty hunters. You've got Global Esports too right there. That is another one of the most confident team, or if you would like to say overconfident, because so far they're able to justify their overconfident.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this team just decides to go for the best position in the circle to try and take the fights that are outside of it and then still come back to claim that position. That's the kind of strength that this team pulls. But honestly, I want to come back over towards another team that had the confidence to pull themselves back in the top 4, but eventually could not and messed up a few games over the last day.
I mean, listen, Revenant Esports is playing it too passive, let's be honest, right? They're going for the finishing blows, understandable. They want to get the best game possible in their hands. But somewhere down the line, we all know securing a chicken dinner is not that tough in BGMS Season 3, considering all the fights do tend to happen in the first 2 stages.
Yes.
And then you've only got 8 or 9 teams left alive, and then with just those many teams left alive, you can easily find yourself a safer spot inside of the final few zones. And that's where Revenant Esports was able to squeeze those chicken dinners away. But it's all about being able to win those fights. It's all about being able to prevail in those duels. And that's where Revenant Esports sometimes do struggle.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, because when it comes to those power play points, Revenant Esports, we really haven't seen that kind of aggression from them, and whenever we have, they end up losing a few members. Probably the Carpedium was only team, or maybe it was Entity against whom they were able to find a few more points. But again, if we're talking about consistency, if you're talking about some things that need to be done properly, I think so Godlike as well are finally finding some situations where they are playing together, but in some of the micro decisions, I still remember that one decision on the map of Sanhok where they messed up big time.
They hands down did. I mean, Godlike, if you remember their start in the entire BGMS Season 3, it was not that great. Opening week, they failed to qualify in the league stage, and that was one of the biggest shockers for the fans, right? And then luckily enough, the fans brought them back in the race once again with the audience choice. And now that Godlike are back in the audience choice, we also saw the iQOO being shifted over to Punk, and Punk was doing much more of a greater job. Godlike is still on that consistent phase, don't get me wrong, but still, I want to see that aggressive Godlike a bit more.
Absolutely, hands down, as you mentioned, aggressive Godlike. They've got Admino, they've got Jonathan, and the man himself who is fragging out the most in his own team is Punk itself, the IGL. And when you've got a fragging IGL like Punk, you really want to capitalize on all of that aggression early on, no matter what. Take those early fights, win those fights. But here's the big problem. For that aggressive early game fights, you really need the team coordination to be on top. And as I mentioned, we saw it on the map of Sanhok itself, which, if I'm not wrong, Bhavna was the teleslator for and explained the entire scenario as to how Godlike messed up, and it's just their micro plays and their trading potential where problem comes.
Now, once again, you brought up a point where you said even Admino is supposed to be the main forefront of the firepower, right? And recently, Admino has been choking up. He's not been able to put up those numbers on the board, and that's a big sign of concern, because if you look at Godlike's past, with the same lineup, right? In the past, Admino was the one who was activated the most in the lineup. Admino was the one to bring up the biggest numbers in the previous tournament. But as soon as he stepped into BGMS Season 3, I'm not sure what happened to Admino. He isn't there at all on the board.
I'm just gonna make a speculation here, and correct me if I'm wrong. Could it be because Admino and Jelly have been playing for a long time back in OR Esports as well, and Jelly kind of knew how to enable Admino, while Punk on the other side, his main focus comes around the entire core of the team, and that could be probably to revolve around Jonathan, and that's why we are seeing Jonathan perform out of his mind while Admino has taken a bit of supportive role? I
mean, definitely might be that way, where Jelly and Admino have been playing together in the past as well. They have been there for such a long time in the same lineup. And now that we're seeing the IGL shift coming into play, that's why Admino is struggling to adapt. It is understandable, but then if you still look back in the opening week, still the performance for Admino wasn't there. So that's still a big sign of concern. Now, I do understand, yeah, maybe Jelly knows how to activate the players, but I still don't think so that's the case, man. In general, Admino has been choking up in BGMS Season 3. No matter if the IGL comes into fray, if he doesn't really come into fray, what about the individual skills? You still should know how to get those eliminations on the board. There's so much more to discuss about it on this entire Godlike topic, but for now, let's move on to a short break.
Wow. ਵੀ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਉਹ ਕੁੜੀ ਸੱਚ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਜਗਦੀ ਰਕਾਨ ਚੰਨ ਜਿੰਨੀ
Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
महत्वाकांक्षा, उत्तेजना और दबाव तीनों का कॉकटेल मिलेगा क्योंकि इस हफ्ते से शुरुआत होती है ऑफ द फाइनल स्ट्रेच ऑफ द एंड्रॉइड BGMS सीजन 3 पावर्ड बाय कार्नियर मेन। मैं हूं सुरेंद्र सुंदरम एंड हियर वी आर विद 3 डेज ऑफ प्लेऑफ। 16 टीम्स जिनमें से 12 टीम्स जाएंगी अगले पड़ाव यानी कि फाइनल्स में एंड वन ऑफ दोस टीम्स विल लिफ्ट दैट ट्रॉफी। लेकिन 4 टीम्स को हम कहने वाले हैं अलविदा। वो डर का माहौल जो है वो बन चुका है, बट मेरे को डरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, आपको डरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज वी आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ दिस एंड सो इज ही। क्योंकि अब मैं बुलाने वाला हूं मेरे दोस्त को। Here comes Manu, also known as Krat. Hi.
बट ये जो डर का माहौल है, ये प्रेशर की हमारे प्लेयर्स को आदत होती है, बिकॉज जितने भी लोग हैं इन्होंने इन्हीं कंडीशंस के अंदर अपने आप को तराशा है। सो ये एक और टेस्ट होगा एंड दे विल पास विद फ्लाइंग कलर्स।
What about those 4 teams जो यहाँ से अब सबको अलविदा कहने वाली है? बिकॉज हमने अब तक पिछले कुछ हफ्तों में सर्वाइवल एंड डोमिनेशन वीक में देखा द टीम्स जो हैं देयर वाज़न्ट रियली दैट फियर, वो डर नहीं था, बट अब आपको पता है यू प्ले बैड एंड यू गो होम।
उस सिचुएशन में ना मतलब आप देख सकते हैं नजरिया है। कुछ टीम सोची थी कि हम टॉप 4 में जाएंगे, ग्रैंड फाइनल के दर्शन होंगे, ट्रॉफी पे एक हाथ ऑलमोस्ट कंफर्म हो जाएगा, बट घर जाने का डर नहीं था जो ओपनिंग वीक में था। अब डर रहेगा, अब परफॉर्मेंस निकलेगी। हमारे टैलेंट्स भी कह रहे थे कि जो परफॉर्मेंस की तलवार है ना वो लटक रही होगी पूरे टाइम।
देखिए हमारे आसपास लिटरली हियर 8-bit यहाँ बैठी हुई है, टीम एक्सपाक यहाँ बैठी हुई है। लेट्स गेट इनटू स्पेसिफिक्स। यार इन टीम से ना एक्सपेक्टेशंस बहुत ज़्यादा थी, रॉकेटिंग स्काई हाई, लेकिन इन्होंने अपने एक्सपेक्टेशंस के मुताबिक तो परफॉर्म ही नहीं किया ब्रो।
ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते। हाँ, पिछले 2 हफ्ते के अंदर वो आपका सर्वाइवर डोमिनेशन के अंदर थोड़े कमजोर थे, बट ओपनिंग वीक में दे वर फ्लॉलेस। मजा आ गया था। वो जो 3 दिन थे, 4 मैचेस, दे वर रियली गुड। आई एम जस्ट होपिंग कि वो एक रेप्लिका ला दे, बिकॉज़ दिस टाइम रियली मैटर्स।
बट व्हाट अबाउट अ टीम लाइक रेवेनेंट? क्योंकि सेंसी की टीम ने 5 चिकन डिनर निकाले एंड इन स्पाइट ऑफ दैट वो टॉप 4 के आसपास भी नहीं थे।
ओके, सो रेवेनेंट वो टीम है जिसने एक वनीला गेम प्ले खेला एंड दे वर सटल। उनको पता है लूट कैसे करनी है, आगे कैसे बढ़ना है, चिकन डिनर कैसे निकालना है।
तो कहाँ चुके?
मास्टर सीरीज एक नॉर्मल टूर्नामेंट नहीं है, इट जस्ट अ टूर्नामेंट। इसके अंदर जो एक्स्ट्रा फीचर्स आते हैं, पावर प्ले, बाउंटी, इम्पैक्ट, अगर ये रूल्स अपना लेते ये बहुत ऊपर होते।
ये जो तुमने फीचर्स की बात की भाई, अब इस हफ्ते में वो फीचर्स नहीं देखने वाले हैं प्लेऑफ्स में। देयर विल बी नो बाउंटी, देयर विल बी नो इम्पैक्ट प्लेयर, लेकिन पावर प्ले जरूर होगा। इज दैट गोइंग टू सूट दीज टीम्स के अब वो सारे जो फ्रिल्स हैं वो हट चुके हैं? नाउ इट बॉइल्स डाउन टू योर गेम।
फ़र्क पड़ेगा। इम्पैक्ट जो था हमारा, इम्पैक्ट और बाउंटी का, उससे पॉइंट टेबल में चीज़ें बदल रही थी, बट पावर प्ले अभी भी है। ये फीचर इतना शक्तिशाली है कि अगर आपने तरीके से फ़ायदा उठाया, आप डिफरेंस बना सकते हैं 100%।
Alright, so let's bring on two players from two teams who will be feeling the pressure under their collar. तो 8-bit से हम बुलाते हैं जूसी को, and from team Xpark here comes सारंग। आ जाओ भाई, इधर आ जाओ।
सारंग शर्मा रहा था। जूसी साहब, मैं चालू करूँ, आप करोगे?
आप करो सर।
जूसी साहब, बहुत सारी टीम्स हैं बड़े स्टेजेस में, यू नो, वो क्वालिफाई भी नहीं कर पाते, बट 8-bit के सिनेरियो में इट्स ऑलवेज डिफरेंट। आप लोग बहुत इजीली अपना रास्ता बना लेते हो। फाइनल में देखोगे आप?
आपने खुद ही अपना आंसर अभी मतलब दे दिया है कि हम फाइनल में दिख ही जाते हैं, सो ऑब्वियसली इस बार भी दिखेंगे यार।
कोई एक्स्ट्रा तैयारी है जूसी?
एक्स्ट्रा तैयारी यार, मतलब हम लोगों ने वीक 1 में दिखा दिया था कि हम लोग किस चीज़ के केपेबल हैं, एंड बीच में हम लोग थोड़ा फन मोड में चले गए थे, हमारे प्लेयर्स की तबीयत भी ख़राब हो गई थी, बट अब आज वापस सीरियस मोड ऑन हो जाएगा।
डन।
थोड़े से टाइम मशीन में बैठ के जाते हैं। एक ट्रॉफी उठाई थी, उस टाइम बोला था रिस्पेक्ट मी, रिस्पेक्ट माई टीम। अब दिक्कत ये है दैट बिफोर दिस टूर्नामेंट स्टार्टेड, मेरे जितने भी दोस्त थे, क्रैट, ओशन, फिक्सेस, नेक्रो, इन सबसे जब बात की, मैंने बोला गाइस हु आर योर फेवरेट्स? अ लॉट ऑफ देम हैड टीम Xpark एज देयर फेवरेट, लेकिन वो परफॉर्मेंस नहीं दिखी है जिसकी वजह से वो फेवरेट स्टैक जो है तुम लोगों पे जच रहा है।
ऑब्वियसली हम लोगों को पता था लास्ट जो भी था उसमें कोई बाहर नहीं होने वाले, तो अभी हम लोग का रियल गेम प्ले दिखेगा आपको, और हमें बाउंटी ये सब भी इतना सूट नहीं कर रही थी। जितनी बार गए उतनी बार अनलकी मतलब हो गए कि कहीं और किसी और ने फिनिश उठा लिया, तो वैसे मतलब वर्क नहीं किया वो चीज़ हम लोग के लिए, और ऑब्वियसली ये वाले फॉर्मेट में हम लोग के लिए जैसा हम लोग BGS में खेले थे वैसे ही कंटिन्यू करेंगे।
भाई मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है बहुत टीमों को ना खुशी हो रही है कि वो सारी इम्पैक्ट रूल, बाउंटी वाली चीज़ें जो अब उनको नहीं दिखेंगी।
ना कुछ चीज़ें हैं जिन टीम्स ने उनका फ़ायदा उठाया वो फाइनल में पहुंच गई। बट जूसी, माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज कि इस वक्त अब 3 में से 2 फीचर्स नहीं है, नो बाउंटी, नो इम्पैक्ट, पावर प्ले है। ओपनिंग वीक में आपने फ़ायदा पूरा उठाया इन चीज़ों का, बट याद आएगी या तुम्हारे लिए अच्छा है अब?
जैसा कि उसने सारंग ने बताया कि उनके लिए फेवर नहीं कर रही थी बाउंटी एंड इम्पैक्ट प्लेयर, वैसा ही हमारे साथ भी सेम हो रहा था। हम लोग आई गेस 10 बार TT की बाउंटी उठाने गए हैं, बट जिस टाइम उनके पास बाउंटी नहीं थी हम तभी उनको मार पाए हैं। मतलब अब ये लक था या क्या था मेरे को भी नहीं पता है।
सो बैक टू जो नॉर्मल डिफ़ॉल्ट तरीका है, यू आर हैप्पी?
या मतलब हम लोग खुश हैं कि कुछ बाउंटी या फिर इम्पैक्ट प्लेयर नहीं है। जो पावर प्ले है उसमें हम लोग मास्टर कर चुके हैं, हम लोग मार लेते हैं 2-3 टीम्स, सो अब हम लोग ठीक है।
जूसी लुक्स गुड, मुझे लग रहा है, भरोसा है जूसी पे मुझे।
ब्रो क्विक वन, ऑलराइट, कास्टर्स भी वेट कर रहे हैं। एक ज़िंदगी का तराजू है, और उस तराजू में एक है फैन बेस तुम्हारी जिनके लिए वो वज़न है एक्सपेक्टेशंस का, और दूसरी तरफ तुम्हारी फॉर्म। सो कहते हैं कि क्लास इज़ परमानेंट, फॉर्म इज़ टेम्पररी। क्या वो दिखने वाला है अब Xpark से?
एग्जैक्टली, क्लास इज़ परमानेंट, तो हम लोग वही ट्राई करेंगे, हम लोग अपना क्लास दिखाएं इस बार जैसे हम लोग पहले दिखाते हुए। हालांकि लास्ट वीक हम लोग अच्छा नहीं खेले, और अभी हम लोग उसका अमेंड्स पूरा करेंगे।
भाई तो 2 टीम्स जिनमें वो क्लास है, लेकिन सवाल ये है कि सॉरी प्लेऑफ्स के बाद क्या ये अपना क्लास दिखाएंगे या क्लास के बाहर खड़े होंगे?
Now, once again, that's a really important point that was mentioned, right? No impact player, no bounty. And for some of the teams, it's going to favor. For some of the teams, it's going to be a really bad thing. But already the teams that were really happy with these 2 rules are already in the grand finals, right? Global Esports, you've got Xtreme, Carpedium, and these type of teams, they're already there waiting in the grand finals. While the rest of the teams now, once again, will be looking forward to duke it out. Team Xpark, they were struggling throughout their entire journey, but now they're back once again with vengeance on their mind. And what are they all fighting for? For this prize pool. 1 crore rupees are on the line, from which the first placing team will be getting 55 lakhs.
That's more than 50% of the prize pool. That's a big dip for the second position. But the fun fact is, all the 20 teams are definitely receiving something. But there's another special prize for another special player that we will figure out. And it's going to be the MVP of this entire tournament.
The most wicked player will also be getting a big chunk of money for himself. And not just that, a beautiful, glorious trophy will be handed out over. I mean, just look at that bike. It looks incredible, nothing taken away from that. But even the trophy that we've seen, this is what I'm talking about. Just look at it. Looks so beautiful, looks amazing. Beastly trophy. And you've of course got the top 4 players currently in the most wicked player list. You've got Beast, you've also got Manti right there standing next to him. I mean, all these 4 players, they do pack a lot of punch. Experience is there too, but still, man, it's all about the first spot.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's about the first spot which you have mentioned, but we will come to that in a while though, because look at the map schedule right now, and this is something that all the teams and the players love, right? All of these 16 teams will play on these 4 maps. Now, reeks of consistency.
Now, as I mentioned, 8 games in total will be there in the playoffs. 4 will be played today and 4 will be played tomorrow. And these 4 games are going to be super crucial. One single game missed out, the form will instantly drop for these teams. Consistency is something that's going to matter. Some of the teams ended things on a really nice note, considering they've got the momentum with them. But what another thing that's going to help them with the momentum is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra device. With an ultra smooth experience, they have been gaming for a long time. Before now, it's time for us to toss to a short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India by Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has
Whoa, or should we say super wicked? The beastly headlights and the Black Panther mask screams power. Feel like Super Warrior with TVS Raider Super Squad Black Panther Edition.
Wakanda forever is what I always want to shout after I'm sitting on that bike, because that's how it looks cool. I like the Iron Man edition too as well, because red suits me and I like the red color specifically.
Big fan of the Panther one, I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
But yeah, right now, the teams that definitely do need the power and that wicked nature with them are right on the screen. Revenant Esports to start things off, and for Revenant Esports, I mean, they're quite a formidable team, right? You've got a player like Aim God Reaper, the players who have been able to rack up so many numbers on the board, and then you move on towards Godlike Jonathan, the man himself. He's been in the forefront when it comes to the firepower, is able to deliver on that aspect too, but still it's a team game. What matters are the rotations as well, and sometimes Godlike, they have been choking with those. Team Z, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, this team hasn't been able to feel themselves that properly.
As you mentioned, Team Z have been facing a lot of trouble now. Here's the thing, they always drop around one of the corners of this map. It could be either Novorep Noe, maybe somewhere towards Kamishki or Stolber area, depending on how the flight path looks like. But this team has not yet found that type of success and the consistency that we really want to see it from them. But here's another thing, you know, I'm going to be pretty sad about one thing, that we're not going to see one early contest in Pochinki between WSB and Carpedium, which normally would end up in Carpedium's favor. But even after that, this is the situation and the time when you need all these teams to drop onto their possible locations and then play according to how they would like to play. But one contest that I still think could happen would be between Team 8-Bit and Team Tamilas around the Ferry Pier, Quarry and Primorsk area.
I mean, still, if you look at the updated drop locations for some of these teams, right? Entity and Godlike looking forward to contest onto Severny, considering Global Esports, they've already moved into the grand finals.
Spoilers.
And that's also a potential drop collision, or else if Entity want to go back to their home ground, which is Pochinki, well then WSB versus Entity will be another great fight to witness.
Ooh, that's a nice storyline, which I would like to possibly see how the suspense of that unfolds, right? But there's one location that we know there's nothing gonna happen, and that's gonna be the Sosnovka military base, where we will see the members of MOGO drop. But normally we would see Team iQOO Seoul try to prioritize the bridge whenever it comes to any kind of upper plane flight path, because MOGO would then drop in for a pit stop and use the vehicles to get over towards military base. And last time when these teams collided, I still remember on towards the bridge is where iQOO Seoul deleted the members of MOGO. Nice wing there, Sensei. I'll wait back for you.
As usual, Sensei being the man who's pulling off these type of shenanigans, but you focus on a few more drop locations, and you also take a look at Xpark dropping towards Yasna Poliana. Even for them, it's going to be quite an isolated drop. No one's there to contest them. But if Xpark do move on to the grand finals, well, then welcome, Godsreen. You will have a drop collision against Xpark once again. But that's another story in the future. If you talk about iQOO Seoul as well, Rozhok and School are completely free. That's where iQOO Seoul have been loving to drop even in the past tournaments. That's their main drop location.
Yeah, they are not usually changing a lot of those things out there, right? But here's the thing. Another team that I want to focus on, and the man who was winking as well as a big part of that team, is going to be Revenant, that normally drop around the area of Milta without any kind of major contests, are able to loot that part perfectly and then move forward with their own rotations. But Team Orangutan, another team that we always love to see, a team that showed so many good signs on the second last day but eventually fell, would drop towards Milta. But let's see where the flight path takes us this time.
Ooh, the plane flat path's going to be super important as the game one rolls up on the screens of the playoff. As the plane flat path starts all the way from Pier towards shooting range. This plane flat path is heavily tilted to the left side. Well, Sensei, it's time to take a fight against the foes. You will definitely go for a pit stop collision, and that's where things will be spiced up. Entity may be forced to drop in towards Pochinki. Even that can be another potential drop collision. Maybe we might just see Team Tamilas versus 8-Bit happen once again.
And this time, since there's no pressure of the bounty itself, and Juicy mentioned how his boys are also back in the form, we might be seeing this time 8-Bit perform in the similar manner as how they did in the opening week itself. But as you mentioned, the flight path being tilted all the way towards the western part of this map, it also means that Team Z are going to have a lot of trouble because both of their drop locations are technically out of contention.
All of that is fine though. Team Z can still drop in towards the Sosnovka military base, at least on those compounds in the outskirts. And I don't think so Team Z will be contested anytime soon, so they should have a smooth sailing towards Nora Point. That's completely out of the contention, but the main concern over here definitely has to be for Revenant. And that's where things will be a little bit spiced up.
True.
There might just be collision between Team Forever and Revenant Esports, and that will be one of the best collisions to witness, considering Revenant Esports will probably go for a pit stop drop collision against Team Forever.
True.
And for Team Forever, this might just be something they're not seeing coming. Might just be blow.
Oh, wait a second.
That is completely unexpected. Team Forever's right next to the players of Revenant Esports. You've also got WSB dropping in towards Pochinki. You've got OG ejecting towards Severny. Now, that's quite an interesting eject. You've also got Entity moving there. You've also got Godlike moving to the same pattern. There's 3 teams trying to contest over Severny. Well, Global Esports, it feels like everyone wants that Severny buff.
That's probably what I was about to mention as well, but you stole everything away from me. Orangutan are going to move even far north. We'll try to move in as close to Stallbar as possible, but hey, hold on your horses. There's a contest happening over towards the George Pole and the containers itself, where we've already seen one player probably of One Blade taken down. Sarkar lost his life.
It's not a team you would want to mess around with. Revenant Esports, a team that's been informed recently. And that too, Sarkar faced off against Reaper. Makes a lot of sense. He's the Grim Reaper, right? Supposed to take you to hell.
True. And we
Entity and Godlike They do lock horns once again, but there's also the Apes right around the corner at them. Might just try to go for that third party, and Admina opens the fray up. Performing when it matters the most. The star player for Entity is taken down for now. Admina with the big advantage, and that's going to be the height advantage right now in his hands. Gets his hands on the pump shotgun as well. Is definitely going to be able to deal some more damage against the foes. Admina knows exactly what's happening around the fray. There's Somraj right underneath him. Admino's got too much to worry about. Somraj inside of the house. Another player gets knocked out. Right outside of the fray too. One single pump shotgun shot might just seal the deal, but unfortunately Admino gets capitalized too. Admino decapitated outside of the fray. Somraj pushes on up, and even he gets taken down. Entity slowly and steadily are being melted in the side of this entire game as Punk hits the deck, and Troy is able to do some decent damage. Equinox is back upon his feet, so now it's going to be a 2-on-1. The table's being flipped.
Troy performing when it matters the most. This man was kept quiet for such a long time, but Entity, they've got such a good position now. 1v2. And now Somraj will also be brought back up on his feet. It's Jonathan who's cooking up a nade. Normally this man has been very precise with it.
Oh my god.
Could have been very good if he let it go a second too earlier. If he cooked it up a second too earlier. Would have got 2 out of that one. But still, now it seems undoable whatsoever. Jonathan, are you going to look to survive? Or are you going to become the hero and claim in some 8 points for your team?
It's going to be 1v3. Jonathan needs to find the isolated duels. And that's why he's trying to create that off angle. He's moved all the way towards the right side of the city. Hoping to find someone. And there we go. It's time to push in tandem. Jonathan's taking too much damage upon himself. Players out in the open, and Jonathan's missing the shots. It's not worth it. Every single bullet will be counted at this point in time. He's got 30 bullets in the mag, 85 on the spare. Gets the first knockout for now, and he does not stand a chance. Nicely done by Entity. But then all this honey has also attracted some more bees. And you've got Team X-Park now inside of the fray too with the third party. Entity, the players already hurt. Equinox will be back upon his feet, but it will be the util barrage that Entity will need a dodge.
That util, as you mentioned, is important. The Molotov was already used in to try and clear off one part of that building. But X-Park need to be cool, calm, collected as well. Taking the high ground, the spray comes in and Saran catches the first punch. Somraj finished off, confirmed. 2 more players to go now. Aqua does not have a lot of healings, by the way. He's probably using up the bandages now.
Yeah, makes sense, right? Because the fight just started as soon as both the teams dropped down. Neither did Godlike have a lot of loot, neither did the players of Entity have a lot of loot. While you try to compare that entire scenario against Team X-Park, they're looking good on every single aspect of the game. Talk about the positioning, the man advantage that they've got, talk about the med situation, talk about the ammunition. X-Park is just better in all those aspects. And right now, Entity, they don't stand a chance inside of this fight. A 1v4? I don't think so. Troy's going to be able to prevail. Toy's way too low. Utilities will be tossed right on top of him soon. There we go. Another one comes in. It's actually a flash. The man's blinded, but Saran did not go for the push just yet, and he is waiting for all the players to gather up, and then it will be a proper push against that one last man surviving from Entity Gaming. He's still trying to do as much damage as possible, but he's surrounded from all the different directions, and he will be collected.
Lovely discipline coming in from this team. But now all of that has happened. There's another team that's coming into the fray, and that's going to be the VASISTA Esports members. Spray God, he has not been brought up on his feet yet. That's a big problem. 2 players onto that low HP. If VASISTA pounce on them right now, they can catch those players, but I think so they're a bit too far away to do that. Yeah.
Spotted. X-Park knows as long as they've got the information, they've got the number. That's all that matters. VASISTA Esports trying to play the big game here. Waiting for the players to be completely unnoticed. Waiting for them to move out in the open. And that's when VASISTA Esports will go for that big venomous strike.
Nice scouting coming in from X-Park, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, they were already at the top, right? Just like the way they third-partied X-Park, they've played the entire league stage. They know exactly what goes on in BGMS Season 3.
True. Entity with those 8 points have been eliminated, but one other team that has also secured those 8 points is Revenant Esports. Up against the members of One Blade over towards the Georgopol city in the north. That's where all the engagements took place, and not losing a single member, grabbing those points. Such a smart play coming in from this team, but Something unconventional coming in from Team Tamilas this time around. They're not going to take the fight against 8-bit.
VASISTA Esports. I mean, this stalemate is just wasting time. But looking at VASISTA Esports, they've got all the advantage. They've got better loot, better weaponry inside of the fight. And yeah, look at the minimap. You've got another team in yellow, and that's going to be iQOO Seoul. Another team looking at third party. Now, that's the fourth party at this point. But CG, they face off against the players of Team Tamilas. One man was caught off guard. CG, they do deliver that finishing blow. Not for iQOO Seoul. Even their head's going to be on the swivel. VASISTA Esports, the same thing can be replicated over there. The fight escalates. Shadow gets knocked out for now. Team Xpark is able to take the advantage. Now, the funny part is they all came over here to third-party Team Xpark, but instead Team Xpark is the one to third-party in the fight between VASISTA Esports and iQOO Seoul.
Absolutely. And Some has been able to take down one more player. Vixky falls as well. That's a big thing. But as you mentioned, it is VASISTA Esports probably on the verge of elimination too. This seems to be a big problem right now, but we're still seeing the Carnival Gaming trying to chase down onto the members of Team Tamilas too. Still have been able to probably figure out where the one player is. Will be knocked down and will be brought down on his knees to be finished off.
I mean, there's 3 Goliaths clashing against each other towards Severny. And VASISTA Esports already gets eliminated. Observer, a little bit too slow to catch the action. But yeah, Ronnie's getting pushed on. He did not even see the man squeeze by. Team Xpark, yes, they do get the first man knocked out. Instantly, the flush is going to come through from Some, and even he does not stand a chance. Team Xpark, they do come out on top in both those duels. Nicely done by Xpark. They've got so many points accumulated, 12 points in total.
A big thing coming in for this team. Losing one member for the first early 12 points. I mean, they're going to take that trade any single day, and you've basically taken out the big boys of this lobby, right? Godlike been eliminated, Entity is out, iQOO Seoul is out. Now, yes, understandable. iQOO Seoul, One Blade, they have been facing some struggles in towards that form. But all of these teams, they do pack a lot of punch. Now, there are only a few that you really need to take care of. And one of them is definitely going to be Team Forever, who like to prioritize over towards the later stages in those circles, who right now is playing all the way in towards the Milta area. Orangutan, one thing important to note is that they dropped all the way towards up north near Stolber and then took that big rotation from Kamesh Kilipovka to move down in Milta Power.
All of that is fine, but if you talk about the Milta area, there's a collision coming through. Not exactly a collision, but you might just say a rotation clash between Team Forever and Revenant Esports. Now keep this thing in mind. Revenant Esports, they went for a pit stop drop, and Team Forever was right next to him. And I guess Team Forever, they got their number, they chased him down all the way towards their hometown. And now Team Forever's just on the prowl.
Yep.
They want to at least find the first man. They want to find that one single knockout that might just put them in the big advantage. But Team Forever is not able to find that just yet. Even the wall of death is slowly and steadily moving up, and Revenant Esports will definitely take the advantage of that. And once again, the boys are looking forward to play it passive. They do not want to take the advantage of the power play.
Only a few more seconds remaining now. 55 to be specific. And then you'll have a stop on all of these fights for a long time. The only clash that happened was all the way up towards north and Severny. And then Carnival Gaming chasing a couple of members from Team Tamilas. Now again, as I mentioned, pretty unconventional for Team Tamilas as well to move in over towards that entire western part all the way up towards near hospital. And that's where they got caught by the members of Carnival Gaming, who just moved a bit more west of Katka. Now normally you would see Team Tamilas rotate from down south through Ferry Pier and then take the northward approach. That is something that did not happen, but again, having a look at the engagement between Godlike and Entity.
I mean, looking at how the entire fight escalated, right? The fight was quite nice as long as it was between Entity and Godlike, but as soon as Team Xpark stepped in, it was quite a messy scenario. Because after that, it was also the players of VASISTA Esports wanting to take the advantage of these two teams duking it out against each other. But then it was also iQOO Seoul right behind on the trail. So yeah, it got a little too messy in that entire scenario. Even Carnival Gaming, they faced off against Team Tamilas, where Team Tamilas, they had to face the brunt. Even they got knocked outside of the game. So Yeah, I mean, in general, this entire scenario was not that great.
Yep. But again, it was funny to see how first VASISTA Esports wanted to third-party team Xpark, and then iQOO Soul, they had the same idea. So they and VASISTA collided, and Team Xpark third-partied them to claim in all of those few important finishes. But a hard break coming in for quite a few teams out there, specifically One Blade. This team was doing so very good, searching for their opponents on the map of Sanhok and were performing out of their mind. But now it seems that their search has diminished.
Yeah. With the circle to search feature on the Android. But focusing on the game once again and ignoring all the puns and the jokes. WSP already moving towards the smack center of the zone.
Yep.
They've got a decent bit of advantage for themselves to play with. But WSP, they're also going to be quite famous in that area. Hopefully they're going to be able to handle all that fame. There will be two ways about that position. It will also be the power position, and considering it is the power position, all the other teams will be looking forward to get that hands on that spot. Revenant Esports is there on the far fray as Sensei gets knocked out for now. He will be back up on his feet. That's not a concern just yet. Or, oh, well, Sensei gets finished. That's quite unfortunate. Revenant Esports, they're being chased down by the opponents. It's OG, the apes themselves. But eventually, they let go off that trail. OG do not want to be converted into the Bloodhounds.
Okay, here's the thing, a fun thing. Aru is not playing in the lineup this time around. It's Veron who's actually playing.
Who's the IGL then?
That's exactly my question. Who's IGLing in OG?
I like the switch up.
But
all the 4 players are the assaulters. All the 4 players, they have a lot of firepower. Maybe I think he's the one to IGL this entire lineup, which will make a lot of sense. Because he's also the player who's got so much experience with them. If you talk about Veron, Vizjad, young boys, man. AKOP, I mean, a man who's been feeling himself, so you would not really want to give the IGL status to him, because that's just going to bury him down a bit more with the responsibilities. So yeah, it's better to let that man free.
But changing such a big, and taking such a big decision, making such a big change in this scenario, when you know that if in case you're in the bottom 4, you will get eliminated, I mean, it just seems like the boys are just moving way too fearlessly.
Just like our Philips 1 played. Maybe that's what Ari's doing, right? One single game break.
Probably.
Yeah, he's probably shaving off his beard and stuff so that he can make sure that he's moving fearlessly in the upcoming game. Everything will be good in the hood soon. But Team Xpark, a team that started things off with a bang. This time, they're feeling themselves. They've already got 12 points accumulated to start things off with, and this is the exact Team Xpark we all wanted to see. But now look at the dead phase in the game. As soon as Stage 2 ended, or as soon as Stage 2 started, we aren't seeing a lot of those fights happen anymore.
One good thing that I like is that this time around, MOGO is being a little bit more proactive as compared to how they would normally play in the entire survival week or the nomination week. They're already around the off center. If in case the circle takes in a bit more north shift, then we will see them try to jump in. But at the same time, if it's anywhere towards a little bit of that southern side, I think so they're going to have a very solid power position into their hands, and they are in the vicinity to try and hear any kind of third party or any kind of engagements to go in for the third party itself. I think so they're on the hillside as well, so they can get a lot of information. But on the other side though, Team Forever making such a late rotation now. They are trailing the members of OG, so we might possibly see any kind of contest that might happen as our Tanki is out there trying to scout out any other team that might come in from Pochinki.
I mean, for now, looking at the entire zone and how it's been forming, this upcoming zone shift is going to be super crucial. I like the position of CG too. It's quite nice. CG's playing around the edges of the map. OG, they've got their own struggles that they're dealing with for now. Hopefully, those struggles will be minimized soon enough. Before Team Z, that's right behind the players of OG, they're also going to have another bit of danger approaching them in the name of Team Forever. And hopefully, they're going to be well prepared against Team Forever. But Team Forever, they do not really want to face off against Team Z, I guess. That's why they're moving all the way from down south. They changed their breaching point. I guess it's understandable. A lot of these teams, at least the first game of the playoffs, they want to play it as safe as possible.
Now here's the thing. As much as I know Ash, and as long as I've seen and we have seen how he normally plays around, he likes to make the entry from the southern part of the circles almost every single time. And what a crazy hard shift. And Team X-Park are going to be super happy about it. They already have 12 points, 3 members strong, and the teams now have to barge onto their doors. They'll be ready to welcome all of them, and with the form that they're looking in, I think so they're going to be super happy. But things are going to get difficult for Team Forever, as I mentioned. They always like to take the entry from the southern part, probably more so from the southwestern part, and that's where we will see quite a lot of those teams out in front.
I don't think so the real struggle will be here for Team Forever. It will be more about all the teams that will be caught in the big sandwich. And right now it's MOGO Esports in that sandwich between WSB, and on the right side it's going to be the players of OG out in the open. And MOGO Esports, they're already dealing out a lot of damage against OG. The players are not able to keep up with the damage number that's being dished out against them. It's too much, to the point where OG, they need to once again retreat back away from that spot. They were out in the open. WSB, they've got themselves quite a decent spot to play with. They have got the compound to play with, but once again, playing with the edges, I'm not sure how well that's going to pan out for the boys in the future. CG moving from the left side constantly. Even for them, that position's good for now, but in the future, it's the open fields. And if the circle pans out in the open fields, everyone's screwed.
The only one who've got the high grounds will potentially play as gods in the lobby. We will have to see how things will eventually pan out. As you mentioned, teams should be able to take that entry, but if in case they're breaching in from the exact same point, just what 8-bit is doing against the members of WSB, that's when we'll see a big collision. And I think so they've decided to retreat a bit. They've found out the members of Team Tamilas though out in the open. Only 2 more remaining, Mr. IGL and Maxi. And they are playing the survival game, and we know that the point system does not support survival game as much as it supports the early aggression.
Team 8-bit. All the 4 players sitting inside of the vehicle, now on the move as well, while Team Tamilas is there on the left side of the map. CG, they're definitely going to have a bit of that clash once again with Team Tamilas. In the past, CG took a bit of a piece of Team Tamilas' play. And now Team Tamilas once again back to ground zero, the exact spot where the players got knocked out. For CG, it's a great invitation, considering CG knows Team Tamilas is already down to 2 players. So this will be another big sign of concern for Team Tamilas. But for CG, if they can get those final 2 players blown out as well, that's really nice.
CG might as well just say the dialogue in front of them: you could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. That is only if in case they'd be able to take a couple of players out of that pie. And honestly, 8-bit, since they were on the chase as well, they are probably ending on the similar spot too. Out there doing a parkour with a car. Not something that's advised, but now since the player have already got off, they know where the members are. But for now, MOGO.
Destro tosses a nade, instantly ejects out from that tower. He does get the first man knocked out, but then he whiffs majorly. And just like that, Team Forever, they spring back to life. Destro, he messes up so big. MOGO Esports could have had a revival chance in this fight, but then WSB, hold on to that thought. They clash up against the remaining players of Team Forever, as Mafia is now going to be the last man standing. Well, not anymore, considering even he gets dealt with.
He was the last man standing, and WSB catching all the players will be getting those important finish points too. Now Team Forever, they took forever to rotate into the circle itself and have got 4 points, but are they going to be enough is the big question right now and right here. WSB finding a perfect time to jump in for that third party, cleaning up the southern part entirely. No Team Forever, no MOGO Esports, but now it's going to be the members of OG or Orangutan, the Apes. The ex-teammates are fast to try and burst in from that part of the circle itself. But on the other side, up north, Team X-Park having a lot of fun. There's also Raven out there. Carnival Gaming still trying to stop the members of Team Tamilas. They know that there might be someone. So the western part and the western fight is going to be crucial. All the way over towards the eastern areas. So that's where the couple of players from Revenant are. Team Z are taking such a humongously long rotation, going all the way up towards Everest, and then will be taking the roadways to hit it in the circle itself. I mean, I think so it could be good, but only if they're able to make it in the circle on time, because Team Xpark is out there in front of them, and I don't think so if they would be willing to deal with the team that is looking super fiery right now, having such a phenomenal start of the day. That's probably what you need, but they're going even further north now. Are they going to take the entry from the northwestern part maybe? But that's where they might encounter Raven and Carnival Gaming. Now, not having the information of the other part and then going in for the rotation from there, that's not the best decision out in the world.
It indeed isn't, but you might as well, right? Why not? If you do come out on top in that duel, well then that's already a big threat eliminated. Team Z moving a little bit on the left side of the map. Yeah, that's where a lot of these teams are stacked up as well, man. For Team Z, I feel a little bit concerned. Kylo, Scout, OP, Side OP is right there, right next to each other. And Team Z, they're definitely looking forward to find that breaching point right behind the players of CG. For CG, it's a tough challenger approaching. But if they do wipe out the entirety of TZ, well then they would at least have the confirmation that yes, the backlines are now cleared. They can focus in the front.
That's a big thing, as you mentioned already. Team Tamilas though, just a river separating them from 8-bit. Hard compounds, yes. It's going to support them for a while though, but now since the blue has started to make a move already, you've got to be wary about the number of teams that might be up close to you. The southern fight is an important one between WSB and OG because almost the southeastern part is entirely empty.
Hands down. WSB from down south, even they're looking forward to be a little bit more closer to that centric part of the zone, but that's where they will be the center of attraction. It's a little bit too late inside of the game to try and prioritize the center. But the circle actually pans out in the smack center too. And Sensei, or not exactly Sensei, but someone from the side of Revenant Esports, which is Blaze, is already right in the smack center scouting it out. He does not find any players, so that's a really good sign. But still, there will be a lot of these players soon enough crashing towards that spot. Hold on to that thought. Team Z, they've already wiped out their foes. That's going to be Team Tamilas. Both the players knocked out and dusted. That's a good thing for Team Z, but still, the woes keep on continuing as Team Z. They need to focus on the future, and that's going to be the zone as it shifts away from them.
And in the meantime, though, in the circle itself, as you mentioned about the positioning of Blaze, he was able to take down one member from Team Xpark, and that's a big thing, as again, Team 8-bit are being fired upon by the members of WSB as well, who are all the way towards the southwestern part. All these positions being held. Team Z are now getting pinned down from multiple directions. It's a pincer maneuver coming in from 8-bit. Look at the position where they are holding. They're just trying to stop the exit while also bombarding those compounds with the utilities.
Nades being tossed on them constantly. Team Z, they're quite vulnerable. Side OP sits inside the vehicle, which is already smoking. A few bullets onto it, and the vehicle will explode. And with that, Side OP will explode too. Team 8-bit is playing quite a dangerous game here. Out in the open, in the water lines, they're getting shot at from all the different directions. From the front, it's Team 0. From the back, it's a few more teams firing shots against them. It's also WSB around the fray. What can you do? Team Z, they need to make that rotation inside of the zone. While you look inside of the circle, you've got OG, you've also got WSB right next to him. There was supposed to be Revenant Esports, but a while ago, Revenant Esports got eliminated from the game, so that's quite unfortunate, with just 1 point accumulated.
I love the maneuver that came in from Raven. They were always watching out. They figured out where the couple of members of Team Xpark were after Sarang got knocked out. They sent in a couple to take down Spray God and then sent in a couple more to take down Ninja, who was all the way out. And then eventually are now rendezvousing over towards north of the circle, but on the other side, as we are still being focused on the Team Z and 8-bit fight, Saeed was knocked out by probably a utility. In the meantime, Carnival now up against the members of Raven themselves. Down south is where OG is. This could be a very messy fight.
Carnival Gaming, they've done their chance at the start of the day. They should feel themselves for this chicken dinner. But then you've got a team like Revenant Esports standing in the path. that will definitely try to make sure that they are blocking as much as possible. As Power right in the front, he gets knocked out too. CGS Power oversteps the boundaries, gets knocked out, and now puts CG in a really uncomfortable spot. It's going to be a 3-on-4 against Revenant Esports, as Hanzo is also knocked out a while ago. And CG Neo from the back lines is getting striked down constantly by WSB. For CG, it's two teams to worry about from two different frays. And WSB from the far fray, they're constantly taking shots against CG. Revenant Esports, they prevail in that fight, but Hanzo is barely surviving with any HP. And even Hanzo gets knocked out in the end by the players of OG. That's it. And now it's going to be the final two teams left alive. OG versus WSB for the chicken.
Lovely play coming in from the Orangutans, the Apes. They knew that this important fight was the one that they needed to third party to try and decrease the competition that they probably would have had. But now it's going to be the race to the compounds where OG are already present. They've already reached first, but I like the decision from WSB. They want to bounce onto the individual members who are all the way down.
Oh my god, what am I watching? WSB? I mean, they're slowly and steadily pouncing on top of the players of OG as they're conquering their fears too. WSB, a team that was playing so scared in the league stage, now look at them, they'll spread their wings. But if OG clips them, that's where the real concerns will start to begin for WSB once again. But WSB are winning every single duel they take. Now it's just down to Atanki or AKOP in the back lines, and even AKOP is way too low.
Whoa.
He does not stand a chance. He will be taken down. That's the nail in the coffin. As WSB, they start the playoffs with some bang moments.
What a performance coming in from this team. Just one change. Trigger was being sent back to rest for a while. And the team brought in their sub, and what a way to start. Orangutan as well, they almost brought it up. But it's absolutely fine, they still secure the second place.
This is what you like to see from WSB. I mean, Trigger was the newly addition to the lineup. And as soon as Trigger's not playing in there, WSB once again back to their old form. Let's move on to the stage for a short interview.
भाई अरसा हो गया था, मैं भूल गया था कि WSB जो है वो लास्ट टाइम चिकन डिनर कब जीती थी। भाई कब जीती थी?
सर याद ही नहीं है।
फायदा हुआ कि कार्पेट टीम जो साथ में नहीं उतर रही थी जब आपने चिकन डिनर निकाला?
हाँ, फ़ायदा हुआ है। ड्रॉप फाइट होती थी, हम थोड़ा बैकफुट पे रहते थे हमेशा ड्रॉप फाइट में।
यार 4v4 ओरंगुटान सामने। ओरंगुटान पिछले सीजन उन्होंने क्या किया हम सब जानते हैं। यहाँ पे तो अब पैसे की बात भी आ गई है, काफ़ी लाखों रुपए की, करोड़ों रुपए की बात है। What was going on in your mind at that point of time?
नहीं, जब देखा हमने 4v4 है तो हमारा की वो था कि सीधे पुश करके मारते हैं, तो वी पुश्ड एंड हमने जीत ली वो फाइट बस।
भाई अब आपने जब चिकन डिनर निकाला है, आपने अपने आप को एक बूस्ट दे दिया है टू मेक इट टू द फाइनल्स। अब फाइनल्स के लिए क्या स्ट्रैटेजी लेगी? ड्रॉप लोगे या कापी टीम के साथ फेस ऑफ?
फेस ऑफ
बस।
हाँ, फेस ऑफ
भाई, सिंपल 2 वर्ड आंसर, फेस ऑफ। निकाला है WSB ने अपना पहला चिकन डिनर एंड इट केम व्हेन इट मैटर्ड द मोस्ट इन द प्लेऑफ्स। लेंगे एक छोटा सा ब्रेक और लौटेंगे मैच नंबर 2 के लिए।
उसूल हमारा बस एक, बातें कम काम ज़्यादा।
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rules.
WSB a chicken to start things off, but even X-Park, they started things off with a bang in the entire game. Unfortunately for Entity, they went for a drop switch towards Severny, but it just did not work out as they collided against another team, then a fourth party came in, then a fifth party came in the name of iQOO, and it was next to impossible.
And the best result for the entire engagement was for X-Park, as you mentioned. The team that came in for the first third party and then also had the time to stop the members of VASISTA Esports or scout the members. And when they went in the engagement with iQOO, they just went in for the cleanup job itself. So that was a very solid play coming in for their side. A much needed start for this team. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you're talking about teams like Revenant, who had the maximum number of chicken dinners all the way back in the domination week, now struggling even when they had the power position.
Listen, Revenant Esports is fine. At least they got one single point, right? Godlike, they were able to get nothing in the first game. Now that's quite unfortunate. Godlike, they dropped into Severny. They were looking quite confident when they announced their drop location being changed to Severny, but off the rip, they just got eliminated by Entity Gaming, and now that's quite unfortunate. Moving in towards the MVP of the day, it's going to be 4 eliminations from Shikari himself. As you move on towards best companion, it's going to be Toy from Entity, and Zeref there as the best finisher in WSB. Now keep this thing in mind, WSB, all the 4 players that they have currently in the lineup are all 4 assaulters.
True.
And that's the best part about WSB, because even the past lineup consists of all the 4 firepower players.
Absolutely, as you mentioned about the fact having all the 4 firepowers is exactly what even OG went in forward to it. And honestly, it has also paid results, because Aru, I would not say that he was not fragging, but even without him, the team has been going in for those important positions and have been finally finding some good possibilities to get in that circle.
And talked about some good possibilities, and that's also going to be the Android tap and pay feature on your Android. Imagine how much efforts that's going to save you. But moving on towards the conversation once again, right? We also spoke about WSB getting that first chicken dinner. And let's be honest, WSB was the least expected team to grab that chicken dinner in the first game itself. Unfortunately for CG, they were getting backstabbed by WSB themselves. And that was quite unfortunate. Then later on, Revenant Esports, they got third party by OG from the far fray. So in general, the position where CG and WSB were, or CG and Revenant Esports were, was not that good of a position. CG making that pounce up against the players of Revenant Esports was the worst possible decision CG could have came up with.
Yeah, exactly, because again, their backlines were not cleared properly. WSB had a good positioning, and they were having those constant visions of all the fights that were going around them. There was probably 8-bit up against Team Z over towards the western side, then Carnival Gaming up against the Raven over the northern part, and then you only had to worry about the Orangutans who were on the western part, eastern part. Did not matter that much.
I mean, the Apes were definitely moving fearlessly, just like your Philips 1 played with no nicks and no cuts. But we also have seen some major changes in the lineups, right? OG not playing with their Erangel, which is Aru, and then WSB not playing with Trigger himself. So these changes have definitely helped out the teams. But for now, let's move on to a short break. We'll be back with the game.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India by Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no
Just some moments away from stepping inside of the second game of the day, which will be Miramar. And as we know, the deserted land always comes in with some peace at the start. But are we really going to see that peace spread all across the board? Or are we going to see something else? That's my real question.
I guess we are going to see something entirely different though, but yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to be an important game coming in for all of these teams. Again, the first game was pretty solid for the side of Xpark, for the side of WSB2. They had pretty good amount of finishes, some important amount of points as well. But at the same time, if you talk about the consistency for some of the teams that had all the way back in the domination week, that's something that we saw having a humongous dip over in towards when we went in for this first day of the playoffs itself, right? When we talk about teams like Revenant, we talk about teams like even Team Tamilas, they had a major dip in their performances too, because I don't think so Revenant had a lot of finishes up their bag.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we're going to move on to the rainforests of Sanhok. I mean, I thought we're going to move into the Miramar, the deserty lands, but some last-moment changes, I guess. And these rainforests, now, once again, will spike up the aggression in these teams. The previous game, yeah, the aggression was not at the peak, but I really hope this Sanhok brings up the aggression a bit more. Sanhok is supposed to be one of the most entertaining maps that the entire pool has to offer. And now things are just even more spiced up because Sanhok will be the second game of the day, and teams will need to readjust. Imagine the amount of drop collision we will see towards Paradise Resort, Boot Camp, or even Camp Alpha.
Absolutely, and as you're mentioning about that, you know that a lot of those drop locations that we used to see having those clashes are now just going to be divided between most of these teams. But one place that we still always like and we always see some drop collisions is going to be the map of Boot Camp, where not the map of Bootcamp, the location of Bootcamp, where we will see VASISTA Esports, we'll also see Team Forever, and it is possible that we might see WSB over just a bit more north in those warehouses, in those compounds too. So I'm gonna really I'm loving to see the action that might eventually come in from. But hey, since we always talk about this, we have a scenario where we might not see those drop clashes in over towards the Camp Alpha location as well, because last time we saw iQOO Soul drop there, and we normally would see iQOO Soul drop there, but if I'm not wrong, even the day before yesterday when we had one of the last games, iQOO Soul, they dropped in a bit more south over towards the area of Ruins to take the fight against Carpedium, where in Global Esports, Godlike, we probably also had Team Xpark, all of them, they dropped all the way down in Camp Alpha. So now I want to see where Godlike and Team Xpark are going to go. Is it still going to be the same? Is it still going to be there? Or is it going to be something else? But we'll hold on to those thoughts for a while too, because again, Necro, as we've been talking, I really want to ask your predictions. Who do you think is going to take this one game? And I'm talking about the chicken dinner.
The chicken dinner. Now, that's quite a tough question that you asked me, but might just favor someone who will decide to play aggressive off the bat. And I think so maybe Godlike, if they do start things on the aggressive side of things, even can be VASISTA Esports if they do bring back that old face that we have known them for. Even iQOO Soul, it's another one of those teams that we know what they're capable of. And iQOO Soul, yeah, in the league stage, they were not really themselves, but I'm pretty sure as the game keeps on progressing on, iQOO Soul will be back in their real form.
Absolutely, as most of these teams have now taken a drop already with the plane fly path all the way tilted towards the left part of this map, towards the western part. I think so most of these teams should be able to go in towards their drop location, but Team Tamilas this time around changing their drop. Maybe normally they would drop somewhere towards the western part of Paradise Resort or down south of Tatmok. I think so they'd be able to reach that. Team Xpark going over probably towards the hard 10, but Aim God starts the thing with the slice and dice coming in against the members of Revenant, catches Blaze out there. And with that, even Hanzo has got the weaponry, will be firing upon a lot of those shots onto the members as the pit stop collision comes into play. Another player from the Revenant have been taken down on his knees.
Raven Esports from the far fray are doing a lot of damage in the front. And now as Raven, they look forward to reposition themselves. I mean, considering they've already dealt the damage to the opponents, right? 2 picks gotten in their hands. That's going to give them 4 points in total. And if you look at the entire point structure so far, Raven Esports, they're right on the second spot underneath WSB. So that's quite a big stance to be in. Team Forever, unfortunately, getting eliminated like that off the rip is definitely a tough pill to swallow. But look at towards boot camp. You've got one play, WSB right next to each other. And then there's also VASISTA Esports around that fray. This is going to be a big carnival.
Absolutely, as you talk about that big carnival. You always love to see all of these fights, and I did mention about One Blade as well, that the previous map that they played on this Sanhok, they also dropped in around this exact same area. VASISTA, WSB up against the members of One Blade. Team Forever being knocked out so very early is again very unfortunate for them, because it's probably now the second game where they have been taken down early. But wait a second, KSR7 seems to be way too close to comfort against a player of WSB.
WSB nicely done. The conversion instantly comes in the hands. KSR7 knocked down and dusted. Has One Blade, the 3 of the remaining players. Oh! Well, as soon as I say that, Sarkar goes down. Anonymous and Kana, the last 2 remaining players. But keep this thing in mind, there's also another team around the fray, and that's going to be VASISTA Esports. And even they started to take the piece of the pie. VASISTA Esports now left to deal with against the players of WSB, but WSB, they're already well aware of the boys' position.
Shadow OG tried to take a few of those shots out there, but could not complete that pick. But one team that has been completely wiped out of the lobby is Revenant. 8-bit were the members who were able to finish them off over towards the end. They had to take that early fight against the members of Raven. But man, oh man, you've got to feel very sad for this team. And look at the amount of teams that are around the area of bootcamp. There's also Team Z, there's also Carnival Gaming. There's again a bit more south if you go towards the Painan. There's Raven. If the commotion goes in for a longer duration, we will see quite a few of these, or at least 2 of these teams, to try and take a fight against them.
Revenant first 2 games, and it's quite a bad start to the playoffs, and you cannot afford to miss out on the games like that. WSB eventually wiping out the leftover players too. WSB are claiming a lot of points, and I love to see it. So far, they have claimed a decent amount of those. And that's a great way to kickstart things, at least in this map. considering they already got the chicken dinner. They're at the top of the overall standings, and if they keep on getting these points constantly fed to them, that's just going to add on to the tally even better. VASISTA Esports slowly and steadily overextending, overstretching in this scenario, and that's why they've lost the man advantage they had. And now WSB once again in the power spot.
We've got a lot of these teams out there again. Whenever we talk about the area of boot camp, you normally would see Team Forever win out those duels, but with the red hot form that WSB is in today, they're taking down everyone. And they now want to punish onto the members of VASISTA Esports for stealing that one finish of one blade away from them. But VASISTA Esports as well, laying down a trap. Players a bit disconnected from each other, bit wide apart. But still, Shadow is out there providing a lot of information to the team, making sure that there's no one coming in from his area. But he's also isolated, so he could be taken down. Zeref on the other side. This team is on fire right now. Already completing 8 finishes, that's 16 points off the fray. This shouts the day one of opening week.
It hands down does.
True.
I mean, I'm just loving the fact that WSB, they're at the top of their game. 16 points already accumulated. They wiped out 2 teams. Or they wiped out 1 full team, at least. And then a few scrap points here and there. That's just going to keep on adding up. And now look at what VASISTA Esports is doing. Yeah, they're able to deal some damage against the players of WSB. It is understandable, but still VASISTA Esports in a big disadvantage. The players are taking that constant damage, and how is the man able to come out on top? Eventually, it's taken down to a 2v2. VASISTA Esports, now they have a valid shot to win this fight, as even Godz, he overextends, and WSB slowly and steadily losing out in this fight. It's not worth it. WSB, the players back away. They want to go for the revival on the fallen players, but here comes the push. And now it's Armand to hold the push off. He's holding that staircase with the shotgun in his hands. He's constantly getting peppered on. There's that pressure in the back of his head, and he doesn't know exactly how to deal with it. And Armand is going for the revival on the fallen player. We'll be back upon his feet soon. Armand gets the fallen man back up. There's another man still knocked out in the opposite room. Armand's got so much pressure to deal with. He's got 2 more players in the future to try and hold off, but Armand overextends and misses the opportunity. It's also Team Tamilas pushing from the back. Another third party in the fray. What am I watching? Such a chaotic start through the game of Sanhok, and this is the exact start we all needed too. Maxi OP was lost out in that duel, but it's completely fine, as VASISTA Esports, they will be sent back to the lobby.
It's Team Tamilas now coming in for the win, but are we going to see another 4th party coming in, this time from Team Z, because they're also close by? And Team Tamilas, they did have a disadvantage with the player knocked down on his feet, but I think so it's absolutely fine. Team Z are not deciding to move forward. Team Xpark as well now moving in over from where Team Tamilas went in towards the boot camp itself. The compounds between boot camp and Paradise. Oh, this is such a lovely circle if you're a MOGO fan. They don't need to go anywhere, can still hold the power position of Paradise Resort. No need to go over down south, so even those southern hills, which normally are considered a strong place to stop anyone who wants to rotate down south from Paradise, they're going to be rendered useless. So even if Orangutan take those hills or maybe those compounds, does not matter.
The zone on the northern side, while Entity's down south, an 8-bit right underneath the players of Entity. For Entity, there's definitely going to be that constant threat of 8-bit. We expected 8-bit to have a good start to this playoffs, but the first game wasn't the exact way they wanted to go.
True.
The second game so far, 8-bit is keeping the silence. They're keeping the peace on the map. And it's not something I like to see, I'm not going to lie. Team Xpark on the hilltop, they've got the high ground to play with right next to CG, and considering the power play is already over, you do see every single team just settle down in a comfort zone. VASISTA Esports, Team Forever, Revenant Esports, and One Blade being eliminated so far. That's definitely going to be a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're talking about One Blade. They've secured 0 points. Revenant Esports, they've only gotten 2 points so far. I mean, that is a rough way to start the playoffs. And we mentioned this, right? You've only got 8 games in total, from which 2 of the games are already burnt out for these guys.
Only 6 more remaining, as you mentioned, for both of these teams. Things are looking super difficult. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you talk about a team like WSB, starting things off on a such solid note, having 16 points right now in their hands, and that too when they had 21 points after game number 1. I think so that's a phenomenal start. Even Raven with 18 points, adding 4 more to that, that's 22. Team Xpark with 13. We're also seeing that points tally coming in for all of these teams, right? Because OG, Carnival, they also had a very solid game on the other end of that spectrum. 11 points for both of them. Not yet opened anything, but Team Tamilas, I would say, the team that has utilized the maximum amount in this one is definitely those crucial 10 points. Jumping in at the perfect time to third party both VASISTA and WSB and stealing away a few finishes from here and there. Basically confirming that they'll be the ones who will utilize the maximum of that play.
I mean, specifically, you talk about how Team Xpark started off the previous game. It was quite a nice start. Team Xpark, they went for the power play points, they prioritized that. They got the perfect advantage taken of it. But this game has started in a really passive note. And I'm not a big fan of this passive Team Xpark, considering we have been seeing this Team Xpark in the past, in the league stage, and it did not work out for them at all. They were going for those drop collisions in Yasna Poliana, considering it is their home ground, and it was being challenged by Entity, and not just by them, even by God's Green. Luckily enough, Team Xpark did come out on top in some of those, and majority of the times, Team Xpark was getting eliminated themselves. And now, once again, Team Xpark replicating that same passive playstyle, it's not going to work that way.
It's a big thing, as you mentioned. But all these teams are now slowly trying to develop that early cushion for themselves, an early start, a good pickup, just like how the TVS Raider has. Sooner or later, all the teams on the down south will have to catch up to them. And again, I think so this constant rotation of the circle kind of points out that MOGO might win this game. And they might secure a chicken dinner for themselves. They don't really need to rotate from their own location. They can hold that ground perfectly. All the teams will have to push on to them. And they will also be basically fighting off against each other. So MOGO can go in for some third parties too. Carnival Gaming pretty close to the members of Team Xpark who are trying to occupy a compound. Carnival on the other side. A bit too open. A few covers from here and there. But iQOO has actually found an Hector. Hector is the man who's brought down on his knees, and Carnival were watching out for the members of Orangutan, but I don't know what Hector was doing out in the open like that. Finished and flushed.
Yeah, the man gets knocked and confirmed. OG, I mean, on the main screen, if you talk about them, first game with just 11 points, that's not that good of a start for OG. Unfortunately, now in this fight as well, VSJOT being the casualty. The man's knocked out for now, but an instant smoke that blooms right in front will save the day for VSJOT. I think he will get the revival on the fallen player. So that's completely fine. But if you talk about the entire OG squad, they're looking healthy and dandy for now. Sanhok being played so passive, I'm not really accustomed to it, man. Usually you see fights happening all across the board, something really happening, some major shifts happening, and there we go. A fight swings by. MOGO Esports, they take shots against the players of OG, and OG now, there's going to be a bit of a casualty on themselves. MOGO Esports, nicely done. These type of firefights is something that they need. MOGO Esports missing out on the first game. Now they should be a part of firefights. They have already practiced playing it safe, and it did not work out clearly in the league stage. So I'm not sure why would they try and replicate the same playstyle over here in the playoffs.
Even I would want to agree with you on that one specific note, but since we're already talking about the styles that the teams played during the playoffs and during the normal survival week and domination week versus now what they're doing. I think so quite a lot of those teams have decided to just play in a bit more safe. Not really focusing onto those power plays. What is Admino doing? It looks so very funny, but alright, he's just trying to catch if there's any player out there because they know MOGO usually likes to play in the paradise and they don't really need it to go anywhere out because they are almost at the death center. So Godlike just out in the fray. I like how Shogun has also got that control over towards the southern hill. Scouting out for his team, confirming that there's no one dropping in from that location. A lot of these teams who are playing on the edges would need to rotate after the blue hits the circle.
MOGO Esports holding Paradise Resort. That's a really good thing. The man was also going for the jump spot, so that's a really nice thing too. And if you talk about Godlike and how they have been playing so far, I mean, at least at the end of the league stage, they had the momentum to play with. And now the transition towards the playoffs isn't that bad. You move into the playoffs. Godlike, they had quite a bad start towards Severny. Instantly getting wiped out without getting any sort of points in their hands was a tough pill to swallow for the fans. And now for this game of Sanhok, the zone moves away. It's going to shift right on top of the players of iQOO Seoul, but they've got a bit of a contention to come up against the players of CG. And CG, they're taking some heavy blows upon themselves. Neo's knocked out. S-Power inside of the house. Even he needs to deal with the nades. But here comes the push. iQOO Seoul, it's now time to push up close and personal against the opponents in the front. And look at Ronnie, too, from the back. It's perfection from iQOO Seoul. As CG, they just straight up walked into the trap of iQOO Seoul.
And then we're finally taken down as well. And honestly, with now the circle hard shifting over towards the northwest, it's difficult. A lot of these teams will take those fights out down south, and that's what Raven is doing against the members of Team Z, who are looking to rotate out of that boot camp.
Revenant Esports. Saido P's knocked out. Kylo is there on the right side, and Team Z, for some reason, losing out on that man is definitely going to be a bad start. The players are out in the open. Team Z, they do not really have a good stance in the fight anyways. Team Z, they also need to move inside the zone slowly and steadily. They do not really have that good of a position. No vehicles to play around with as well. Kylo's back spotted. He's taking that damage. Kylo's out in the open. I don't think so him surviving is going to be even possible at this point.
He's done.
If he's got some sort of smokes, that can save the day for Kylo, but yeah, constant bullets being tapped away. Kylo does not stand a chance. As Aim God, he finds that final connection onto Kylo. And that's it for Team Z. Another failed game on the books, just like Revenant Esports and OneBlade. But iQOO Seoul, their fight this time is going to be up against the players of Entity. A beautiful Molotov. And it's going to catch the man in midair with that DBS. Manya, he deals a lot of damage. iQOO Seoul, the players have pushed up close and personal. Salmai will, of course, find the last man too. And just like that, it will be iQOO Seoul to wipe out the entire Entity as well.
Phenomenal performance coming in, but Knuckle is also being fired upon. A lot of those shots being taken onto him, and Manya, I mean, that's not the best driving out there, but it's absolutely fine. Does the job, brings him to safety, but Ronnie is out. Knocked down on his knees, and that's a big, big problem. Somme also out in the blue. This team needs to rendezvous as quickly as possible. But on the other side, down south is where we're going to see most of those hits, most of those fights as Raven now pouncing upon the members of 8-Bit.
Oh no. There we go. The run over comes into play. Revenant Esports nicely done. Within a flash, the fight is converted in their favor. As 8-Bit, they're still trying their best to fight back in this entire scenario.
Mighty?
And already, a lot of players have been knocked out. Mighty, he swings the tides back in his favor. One single man up against the entire army of Revenant Esports as the players are slowly and steadily being converted. And it was Hanzo with his nade unfortunately taking down Hulk. Getting the confirmation for his opponent. Reaper now closing on up towards Hanzo, so if that revival is possible, then 8-Bit Mighty will definitely have another storm approaching him. But right now, what he's focusing on is the zone, which makes a lot of sense.
True. And it's a good idea as well, because right now Team X-Pac are trying to pounce upon over towards that southern part, so Mighty has just avoided all of that commotion. And he might also survive. But Spray God probably has an idea where Mighty is, but and the rest of his team are going to stop all the teams that are going to try and barge in from that southern position. Mighty figured out shots being fired upon, but his shotgun will finally find its stop. But on the other side, Scout as well tried to take that fight, but will be finished off at the end of the day. Raven getting a lot of those finishes on board, 7 of them to be in fact, but still losing on a lot of members. And right now, Team Tamilas almost in the same fray.
Team Z, 1 finish point acquired, as they have been eliminated from the game too eventually. And now you've got GDL, MOGO Esports, these 2 teams alive with not a lot of points accumulated. So this game of Sanhok holds a lot of value for these guys. OG, Vizjot, and Veron in the water lines. And Veron in the water, the only reason why he's over there is because to spot out the players. As Team Tamilas, they will put that nail in the coffin. Vizjot, the only remaining link from OG, and he's constantly tossing those smokes. A nade was way too close. Team Tamilas is Manti. He wants to pull off some weird shenanigans. He wants to get that off angle. Utilities being tossed constantly, and Vizjot, he messes up with that move. The man's still alive with barely any HP, eventually gets shut down. And now it's time for Team X-Spark to make that push, and third party maybe this scenario. But Team X-Spark, they also need to realize this entire fray is under heavy fire by the players of iQOO Seoul.
Exactly my point. They're still going out there, but look at Sarang. I think so Sarang has been knocked out. That's a big problem. They've left Shadow 7 out here. He'll try to gather a few finishes with the frags that he has, while the rest of the players will be moving backwards to try and get the revival back on and bring his boy back up on the feet. Quite a lot of bandages out there on the man's face, but it's fine. Mr. IGL out here. Fox OP taking a lot of those bullets, but again, even the members of iQOO Seoul are under some fire, and it's Godlike who are actually fighting them.
Jonathan's knocked out for now. Even Admino's going to fall down in the fray. It's all down to Punk and Z-God. Last 2 glimmers of hope, the last 2 pillars for Godlike. And these 2 players, they've got some heavy duty on their shoulders. X-Spark in the front, Shadow 7 is right there. For Team X-Spark, it will be a tough pill to swallow considering the position. It's not favoring the boys. A beautiful Molotov on top of Shadow 7 will get the flush. Godlike claiming that elimination point against that one single man of X-Spark. And now they've still got all the 4 players surviving. Yeah, Jonathan was knocked out. He will be back up on his feet soon enough. MOGO Esports, with all the 4 players surviving for them too, they're aiming for that chicken dinner. But they will only get 12 points if they keep on moving with this pace. They need a few more elimination points to compensate. Godlike, Jonathan is still knocked out, still on his knees. He will be back up on his feet soon enough, but then Z-God as well falls down as a prey. And Knuckle, the last surviving man for iQOO Seoul, he's going for that constant patch up in the zone. He's got only 2 first aids to back him up. Godlike slowly and steadily getting mowed down, not just by MOGO Esports, but even by Team X-Spark. It's Ninja Jot from the far fray taking shots. And MOGO Esports, they catch another man. But even Team Tamilas' Manti gets eliminated. The entirety of Team Tamilas, even they fall prey. Team X-Spark, they're taking that constant damage from the blue. Sarang, even he's going for that med patch. I'm not sure for how long this med strategy is going to come through. It's going to keep them in the race, but MOGO Esports, they have claimed that chicken dinner with just 13 points.
I mean, if we still talk about that, it should be fine. The nade finally bursts out, and it is going to be a big win coming in for MOGO. Most of the circles forming onto Paradise, shifting over towards the last part, but the team was still able to secure a good position in the circle itself. And if you talk about those constant points, at least this one will keep it flowing.
I mean, what a game that was. X-Spark, though, still keeping up that consistency. Entity, they tried their best to get a few more points in their hands, but failed in this game. For some of the teams, they're still not able to find that groove, that points that are needed for them to put themselves in the top 12, while the other teams, they're dominating this entire stage. Let's move on to the stage for a short interview.
डिफेंडिंग चैंपियंस प्लेऑफ्स में व्हेन द स्टेक्स आर हाई उन्होंने निकाला है चिकन डिनर. भाई मैं सच में बताना, कुछ करने की जरूरत थी. सोल अच्छा खेल रही थी, सोल को गॉडलाइक ने मारा, गॉडलाइक को अकेले टीम तमिलास ने खत्म किया. यू गाइस हैड 4 प्लेयर्स रिमेनिंग एट द एंड ऑफ इट. काफी आसान लगा.
आई थिंक इट वाज अ वेरी इजी गेम. कुछ करना नहीं पड़ा, आपने सही बात बोली है. सब आपस में ही फाइट करके फिनिश हो गए. एंड मतलब बहुत इजी गेम था, जोन भी पास में ही था, तो फेवरेबल गेम था. शुड हैव गॉटन मोर किल्स, बट इट्स ओके.
यू नो, हमारे जो हिस्ट्री में हमने इतने सारे कैरेक्टर्स के बारे में पढ़ा है, तू मुझे ना चाणक्य की तरह लगता है, क्योंकि दिस इज नॉट अ स्प्रिंट. दिस इज अ मैराथन, लंबा टूर्नामेंट है. क्लियरली यू आर पेसिंग योरसेल्फ. शोगन वापस आया है. मुझे ये जानना है, व्हाई शोगन नाउ इन द प्लेऑफ्स?
आई थिंक हमारा एक बात भी हुआ था एंड शोगन वाज वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट, तो वही है जिसमें टीम कॉन्फिडेंट है वो चीज़ करनी है.
तुम्हारी और रॉबिन की जोड़ी काफ़ी चिकन डिनर जब तुमने निकाले थे हमने बात की थी. सो डू वी सी रॉबिन एंड यू ऑल्सो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, कमिंग बैक टुगेदर इसी डेस्क पे?
आई डोंट थिंक सो. पूरा इवेंट शो यही टीम खेलने वाली है, हमने यही डिसाइड किया है. एंड रॉबिन इज़ ऑल्सो आवर कोच, तो वो हेल्प कर ही रहे गेम के बाहर से.
ये भाई जो बैठा हुआ है ना, MVP, इससे वाइब आ रही है अब? वो तो टचवुड कर रहा है वो.
नहीं, फर्स्ट मैच भी इसने अच्छा ही खेला. थोड़ा अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम फिनिश हो गए, बट वाइब पॉजिटिव ही है. आई नो हम अच्छा ही करेंगे.
भाई प्लेऑफ्स की इस रेस में जहां पे 4 टीम ऑलरेडी फाइनल में इंतजार कर रही हैं, द डिफेंडिंग चैंपियंस हैव पिक्ड अप देयर फर्स्ट चिकन डिनर और अपने इरादे काफी मजबूत किए हैं. दिस वन, अब यहां पे एक छोटा सा ब्रेक.
2023 थी दावत, 2024 में होगी बगावत. MOGO Esports is here to stay.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है. क्या होगा अगर मैं ये सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है. क्या होगा अगर मैं ये सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books, but we
I mean, this Sanhok started off with a lot of aggression, but then later on in the mid phase, I'm not sure what happened. The action just completely dialed down, and that's why it just felt like a little bit of a boring phase in the game, I'm not gonna lie. But then once again, in the final few moments, there were so many crossfires happening, and it felt like some of the teams, they had their game face on with the Garnier Men's face wash.
Absolutely, and with the way how they performed, it definitely looked like they were spending some time in the washroom itself, getting their faces washed with that Garnier's Men. But over towards the fact how this entire game was again served to the members of MOGO in a silver platter with all the circles forming onto them, and then eventually only the last one shifting away. And even there, we see a lot of these teams take fight against one another. MOGO did not manage to get a lot of those finish points. It's just the position points that they'll have.
Hands down. I mean, speak about the position points, and yeah, I mean, MOGO Esports is focusing on that. A lot of teams in general in that previous game of Sanhok went for that placement game, and it's not something that I'm accustomed to seeing, right? Team Xpark as well, they went for that placement game. VASISTA Esports, they tried to be a part of that chaos, but unfortunately they got wrapped up in that chaos themselves as they were eliminated. You move on towards the MVP, it's going to be Manti from Team Tamilas. At least they had some sort of impact in that previous game with 50% finish contribution. And if I'm not wrong, Team Tamilas were the one to go for that finishing blow in the bootcamp fight.
Absolutely. This was the perfect third party coming in from the side of Team Tamilas and giving them some crucial points. But best companion's going to be Admin with 3 rescues, and the finisher is going to go down to Destro. Yes, what happened on the map of Erangel did not repeat down here. This time around, the entire team playing it pretty well. At the same time, I would also like to give it to the members of both Team Tamilas and Godlike too, because yes, they needed some points. Team Tamilas were finding it in the eliminations. Godlike yet again went in for some crucial fights, specifically the Soul versus Godlike scenario that we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, iQOO Soul and Godlike, they were fighting it off against each other. For iQOO Soul, they already had a decent amount of points, right?
Yeah,
they kicked things off with, they had, I think, 7 or 8 finish points to close the day off in this game of Sanhok. So in my opinion, that's quite a decent start. But if you talk about the entire start of that game of Sanhok, Revenant Esports were the one to kick things off on a really fiery note. Then later on, moving towards boot camp, there were 3 teams who dropped right next to each other, from which VASISTA Esports, they went for that third party up against the players of WSB, but then in the end, they ended up being the casualty themselves.
That's the whole part about it, because again, Team Tamilas as well then over towards the end decided to join into the action. We also did see Team Z around that part, but they did not wanted any piece of that pie. But again, this last stand from Mighty definitely ruined out the games for Raven out there, and here was the questionable decision again Team Xpark that made. They sent in 1 player up far forward, 2 of them went backwards to give the revive. There was again not clear-cut calling, and with that they kept on losing the members over towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, Team Xpark, they sent another man, which was Shadow 7, inside of the zone, who was quite separated from the pack.
Yes.
But it was desperate times, desperate measures, man. For Team Xpark, they were outside of the circle. They did not really have any weaponry, or not exactly weaponry, but a good spot to contest themselves in that zone.
True.
And that's why they were just panicking all across the board. Shadow 7, he made that call to push up close and personal inside of the zone. He was out in the open, got capitalized from two different angles, and he couldn't really do a lot.
Absolutely, as you mentioned about that, it was some big problems coming in. But let's have a look at the match rankings with 17 points. Team Tamilas will be the ones to grab onto that first position. WSB following up with 16, and they were the ones who were trying to wipe out the entire boot camp with the bodies of the other side, and MOGO taking that third spot with 14 points. But again, over towards down, if you look at it, One Blade Carnival, Revenant Entity, Team Forever, not even opening with a single point is a big sign of concern.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. Some of the teams are still not able to find that groove. They're still not able to get any sort of points in their hands, and this is the only concern that keeps on rising up. The second game's done and dusted in the day 1 of the playoffs. You've only got 2 days, and you've only got 6 more games to go, from which the 2 of the games will be played today itself. Now you've got the map of Miramar, and you still do not have the momentum that you need to move on in the top 12. These teams will constantly stay down there. And the crazy part about these bottom 4 teams will be that even Revenant Esports for now is a part of that.
Exactly, and for the longer you stay there, the more difficult it will become. And it's the mental thing apparently to try and pull yourself through. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be pulling up a short break, but we'll be back after that for the map of Miramar.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
ये वही जगह है। क्या होगा अगर मैं सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा।
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow.
Well, this is going to be an amazing evening now, as again, 2 of the games are over. We're already halfway there, but we still have halfway more to go. And by the way, during that entire duration, Google Play Days are live, so make sure you grab out of the best BGMI offers right now, as these teams will try to grab the best positioning into those positions as well as onto those finishes. Now, there's been quite a few things happening out there in the map of Sanhok, in the map of Erangel, and also out here in the English Talent Studio. We're going to have Bhavna join me now for this game of Miramar. Bhavna, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, and seems like even the players of WSB are also doing really good. They already started on a very good note, especially in the very first Erangel. The second game also went decent for WSB. I'm going to throw you under the bus at the very start. Which team you think is going to get a winner chicken dinner in this Miramar?
You know, in this map of Miramar, it again comes down to the same positioning, momentum, and all that normal stuff that we normally talk about, right? But at the end of the day, with the way how things go, WSB, they are taking those early fights. Team Tamilas, they're kind of trying to prioritize and have that common ground between positioning as well as that early aggression. But if you want to ask me to name one team to get that chicken, I think so. I'm probably going to go with Team Xpark. They've been showcasing some good amount of fire plays, but ladies and gentlemen, I know 2 of the maps are over, but the map of Miramar is now going to boot upon our screen as the plane will hit the sky all the way from down south of Los Leones over towards El Pozo and Trailer Park. Heavily tilted a bit more towards the southwestern part. The teams who would want to go towards Torre Humada, Cruz del Valle, El Azhar, they will have to go for those pit stops. So a lot of these teams out here will probably collide at those pit stops themselves.
That's something I don't want to see at all, especially in the playoffs. I don't want to see those drop clashes because I understand the gravity of the situation, and so do the players as well. At this point, yes, in the very first circle, they want to go a little aggressive and utilize it power play to the full potential and have those extra finish points for the team, just like WSB did in the previous one. But we both are on the same page at something. That is a prediction. In the last Sanhok as well, I said, Krat asked me, what's your prediction, Shadow? And instantly I was like, Team Xpark.
I mean, let's be honest, with the way how they were playing all the way back in the survival week and the domination week, their playstyle has changed drastically right now, and they've been constantly going in for those fights, trying to find the third-party timings, getting those finish points as well into their own pockets. But right now, since we are already on that topic and on those notes, again, we know a few teams who like to drop off over towards the eastern parts. That's the Impala and Puerto Paraiso, where towards Impala we will see MOGO, Puerto Paraiso it's going to be the Godlike area, Carnival Gaming dropping in again at Picardo. Are we going to see one blade there is my big question, because quite a lot of those times we have seen those two teams clash and collide. But one thing that I'm looking at is Team Tamilas out there against the members of OG, as again Veron tries to chase down the member of Team Forever themselves. We've seen these teams constantly duke it out again here, constantly closing and opening the door, moving back, but the slice and dice is absolutely phenomenal. It does not matter still. Veron will fall down on his knees as the trade is there from Mafia from Team Forever. Doing a pretty awesome job out here, but again they are also losing the members. Ashes down on his knees as AK slices him, but as he was trying to jump out the window, will be brought down and sent back to hell. 3 players of Forever down on their knees. It's all down to just Atanki now to try and pull him steam back. Vizjord is also there, but not close enough to try and support for him. Mafia with the weaponry in the hand goes in for the UZ as well. 2v1 tries to switch the weaponry with the knife in hand. Finally gets dealt with, and it is going to be OG wiping out the members of Team Forever, but on a big cost.
Yeah, they lost 2 of their own. iQOO and Veron has already been lost off. And iQOO is one of the star player of Orangutan, but the action is not going to stop at all, as Team Xpark is also locking horns with the players of Team Revenant Esports, where Hulk has received hefty damage. In fact, he has been finished off. 1 finish point already to the name of Team Xpark. A good start for Xpark, but they need to be a bit cautious because we have the players of VASISTA and iQOO Soul also lurking nearby.
Absolutely. This is something which is pretty important. The third parties are something that we normally see happen, and that might be the case right now, right here. That's why the members of Raven, trying to just rush out of that harm's way, will be running away over towards probably around the water treatment area.
Sorry to cut you off, but my favorite weapon, VSS. I just love VSS, how silent it is. Oh.
You don't want me to be very honest out here. I might just get kicked out of the studio, but I mean, yeah, it's a decent weapon. I'll just be a diplomatic person out here. You can use it with that spray, but the speed. Wait a second. This is one of my favorite weapon, the M24.
I think it's out of meta as well.
I know, but I like the weapon. I mean, let's be honest.
What's the point of liking the weapon if it is out of meta?
We, the people who just play ranked for fun with our friends, do not care what weapon do we have. We always have that one player who fights for the sniper, and that's all the 4 players.
I know one caster, no matter which map it is, he's always going to go for that AWM pick, and that is the Experiment. I'm sure the chat, everyone knows him, the English caster, the Experiment, and his AWM shots as well. He's one of those guys, no matter which map it is, he just loves the bolt action.
I love the bolt action too. I mean, if you give me a choice, I will always go for those bolt actions, and the second weapon is probably going to be something, maybe if I get an AKM, I'd probably go for the AKM. I don't really like the M4 because that's the way too meta weapon right here. But again, we're talking about what we really like, right? Let's focus down on what all the audience likes, and that's going to be the action that might brew up all the way over towards the Chomacera, as we're seeing a lot of these teams make a cluster.
Too many teams, in fact. Orangutan is there, Team Tamilas is also there, and yes, Kylo is going for the finish point onto the knocked player of Team Tamilas. And that was bound to happen. A vehicle run over for Maxi OP. In fact, Maxi is the guy who is in the MVP race as well. So this is definitely a heavy casualty for the players of Team Tamilas. They need to be a bit cautious. They can't afford to go as aggressive as they wanted to be, especially after the performance which they delivered on the map of Sanhok. Yes, Manti is stepping up big time, but they need Maxi as well.
That's perfectly mentioned point, and out there so far in the wide, Adi from Team Z does not spot out the running player, so Team Z are going to go back, retreat. They'll be basically thanking the members of Team Tamilas for that one extra finish, giving them 2 crucial points right now, because again, these teams are the ones who are all the way down in the bottom 4. And Team Forever, that's the 3rd consecutive game where they have failed to perform. That's probably already almost half of the day just not in their favor at all. That's a big problem, right? Because If you talk about the amount of games that have been, that you're remaining now in your hands, that's just 5. 1 for today, that is. Hilo trying to scout out the members of Team Tamilas who are all the way retreating far Frey. It's Mr. IGL though, and Team Tamilas cannot afford to lose even a single member from this point on.
That I totally agree. Team Tamilas, if they want to deliver a good performance in this one, they need to go a bit slow, bit cautious in the Miramar, because let's be honest, Miramar, a deserty field, is one of those maps where you need the cavalry. You need all the 4 players alive if you want to aim for that winner chicken dinner.
True.
So that is something which Team Tamilas need to rethink. Can they afford to go aggressive? I think after this, they are going to change the pace of the game for themselves. But on the other side, there is one more team which delivered a good performance the previous one. That is going to be MOGO Esports. Finally, MOGO got a chicken dinner when it was required the most. MOGO is one of those teams, let's be honest, they are the defending champions. Fans are expecting MOGO Esports to deliver that sort of a performance, but for now, a team right in the epicenter, VASISTA Esports, is looking in the prime spot.
As of now, yes, but we've seen these circles take those nasty hard shifts, right? And the team who starts off in the center is also the one that might get targeted a bit later on too. But I like the centric position, because then again, you have the opportunity, if in case the circle forms on you, then that's a good positioning you hold. If it's away from you, you've got a possibility of those rotations. But again, all the way down south is Chumasera, where I'm constantly having my eyes, right? Because there are just so many teams out there. Team Z trying to gather a few scrap points on the members of OG, where only a couple of them are remaining. The finished feed should have given them enough information for this one. And OG as well. They're just not overstepping their boundaries, and I don't even think so they know about the trap that is being laid by the side of Team Z onto them.
Team Z, let's be honest, things are not really working for them, but recently they have started showcasing some signs of life. Especially speaking of the initial fight which happened on the map of Miramar between the players of Orangutan and Team Forever. Team Forever, one of the star player Mafia, did deliver a good performance, but it was Orangutan who came on the top, especially because of those mini tap shots of Atanki. Let's be honest, Kat, it's not easy at all to have a close range battle with a Mini 14.
I mean, it's never easy, to be honest, but you know what's even better and what would look even... Poor Maxi.
Oh god.
I know. I know. That's why I just stopped for a second there, but Kylov has been taken down though. Atanki will be getting the confirmation onto the man himself. Finally drops in the Mini 14 to get that M4 in his hand with a 6x. Perfect weaponry for most of these players out there. Probably not. Probably all of them. Orangutan already have 10 finishes up on their board, so that's a big thing. But another big thing, that's another big clash happening, is between the members of Entity up against the members of Xpark. They kind of want to get that revenge of the first map of Erangel, where Xpark went in for the third party to flush out the members of Entity.
Entity in the previous one also, Entity, I like the approach of Entity because they go very slow, they go for those late rotations, minding their own business and trying to be with the circle towards the final later stages. But right now they are in the close proximity to the players of Team Xpark. In fact, they are directly breaching into the compounds of Xpark. The Molotov goes in but finds no connection at all. Somraj with the nade is trying to find something. Can he land it perfectly? And yes, Spray got down to 10 HP.
And he opened the door as well now. That basically paved the way for that Molotov to pass through. We're on towards the other side though. Team Xpark now are being contested by the members of 8-bit, which we might see in a bit while, because Praygod constantly trying to reposition as well. Cannot move out. There's a Molotov under his feet. The floor is lava. And in front of him is just some blasts happening. Cooks up a nade. He can try and get one good pick with that one. Absolutely not. Does not put it through the upper window. Still the players out there, 3 of them, the members of Entity together. It's Sarang and Spraygod together. I don't really love this approach from Entity, but they're finally going in for the reposition as well, as Raiden is all the way in the far back. Trying to scout out. Spraygod's going to go in for that adrenaline syringe. Where are the rest of the members from Team Xpark? I believe they're in the compound behind trying to provide cover, and that's exactly what Shadow 7 has managed to find. Catching in Toy on that flank angle, catches one person, should get the confirmation to, but Somraj is there. If he overpeaks, Somraj will find the trade.
Oh, the trade is not there, but the confirmation is definitely there. Shadow gets the confirmation onto Troy. Sarang with a nade is looking for a knock onto Somraj as well. He knows exactly where Somraj is hiding. Equinox, even if he wants, he can't go for the rescue mission if Somraj gets taken down. Only 2 players remaining from the side of Entity. Definitely not a good situation where they wanted to be in, and Spray God is looking to breach into the compound of Equinox.
Absolutely. Equinox very much in trouble, will be brought down on his knees. No way for the man to survive. A pretty long range for a shotgun on that one. But still switches up to the M4. Somraj is all the way out in the compound itself. And Raiden is again, he was all the way far back trying to scout out the area for his team, trying to survive. And that's a big, big problem as Raiden has got an angle. But only the high ground is where you can say he has the advantage. Nothing apart from that. Somraj is all the way falling backwards, trying to retreat. Only 24 more seconds remaining for this power play. And Team Entity, after losing 2 members, have decided to back off from this fight. Another good start for Team Xpark.
Definitely Team Xpark today, they're having a good start. They're making use of this power play to the full potential. 6 total points to their name already. That means a good start for Team Xpark. Even the circle is favoring them, but in the minimap I can see a team in the close proximity. That is going to be iQOO Soul, but the circle shift is something that is not going to help the players of Team Tamilas at all, as they are close to 2000 meters away from the circle. Team Tamilas, WSB, Orangutan, 8-bit, even look at One Blade, they're still towards the side of prison.
Yeah, One Blade, they're going to go for all the big late rotation from Puerto Paraíso and will breach into Impala. But again, since you mentioned about all these teams all the way down in Chumacera, they knew that the engagement will happen. They were just ready to pounce on the targets for the third party. But WSB and 8-bit had the exact same idea. Team Z as well, they lost a couple of members in those engagements. Scout was probably one of those casualties coming in through too. It's down to Saeed and probably Addy remaining, because Kylo was also caught in by Atanki. And that's a big blow to Team Z. They came into third party, but it's just those decision makings that always comes to down to the wire too. But the members of iQOO Soul now catching the members of Entity all the way in the far fray, and we know that this team loves to go for those chases.
There is one more team having a very good rotation. That is going to be the players of Team Revenant Esports, because they are coming all the way from the northern side. Hero Xtreme, Godlike, speaking of them, they are somewhere in the cluster, in the center, surrounded by so many teams. So it's not looking that good for the players of Godlike at this point, and not looking good for the players of Orangutan as well, because WSB has managed to finish the last remaining player of OG out in the blue. Even WSB, things are not looking that Hail-Mary for them as well, because Team Tamilas are also there. Then Team Zero is also waiting for them at the edge of the circle. So these are the things which the players of WSB needs to reconsider. But MOGO is also in the close proximity to Godlike, VASISTA, Revenant as well.
It all comes down to who is able to scout who. That's the big part about it. iQOO Soul, once this team decides to go for the chase, once they gaze their target, they jump in, they pounce onto them to catch them like the eagles in the sky, having such a crispy vision. And they want to find out where the members of Entity are. Probably have got an idea of one. Can they see the vehicle of Raiden is the big question. They're out of the far fray though, but as soon as Raiden moves from here, he's going to be taken down. This is a perfectly laid trap coming in. Some is out here watching for that exit. And it's all the way towards the Oasis, where Necro said he does not see a lot of those fights. But guess what? This time around in the map of Miramar, we are finally seeing that action happen too. This is probably the second time that we are seeing it in the BGMS. Once in the Domination Week itself, and once now in the playoffs.
This is the second time I'm seeing Entity versus iQOO Soul also happening with each other, because Entity, they, as I pointed out, Scared, let's be honest, they like to go for a late rotation, and right now they are dealing with the brunt of the blue, and iQOO Soul, they're just waiting for them.
True.
Looking at the circle, yes, Godlike is somewhere in the cluster. It's not going to be easy for them at all, but Raven is one of those team and Team Xpark who have managed to keep themselves away from that cluster. So that means they can potentially look for those finish points, those position points, and they can play around the circle. So things are looking good for Xpark and Raven, but Entity, they need to do something.
I don't think so they'd be able to do a lot against the members of iQOO Soul unless both of these players just go bonkers. Try to take them down, but for now, One Blade as well, pretty close to the members of Godlike. Shots being fired upon onto the members, but the entirety of One Blade will be able to rotate away. Now, since we're already talking about this team, right, might as well touch upon the point as to how for the previous 2 games, One Blade have not grabbed a single point. Be it from the elimination or be it from the positions. 4 Koenigseggs going all along together. Don't know if it's the variant of Jesco, Aguirre or Rigera. I love all of them though.
I really want to know from you, Sked, what's really happening wrong with the players of One Blade? Because it's not like the players are not capable or something. They have delivered good performance in the past as well.
Listen, you are the analyst here.
I know, but you have been the one casting since day number 1. So, do you think it's a synergy issue? But because I don't think it could be the synergy issue. These players are sticking together with each other since last 6 years. So, synergy should not be a problem for One Blade.
What I feel and what I've noticed for One Blade is in fact that this is a very momentum-based team. If they find the first duel and they win that duel, the confidence of this team boosts up. And then it's like their coordination comes into the play as well. They don't make those common mistakes that they normally do in their 4v4 fights. And they play on the back of each other for the trade games. And right now, the meta is highly dependent on those trade games. If in case you take down the first person of the enemy, you know that you're going to be taken down. So how good is the positioning of your second player and the third player to try and provide those trades to your team? Because again, the fourth one will be out in the far fray trying to provide the support.
Or is it like they're relying too much on the aggression of Anonymous?
Probably. Could be the case too. He has been the man of action. He has been providing some good openings, some good duels. But apart from that, almost the entirety of One Blade has been kept quiet.
I agree to that. Especially Sarkar. He is one of those players who need to step up big time. Team is just waiting for the comeback of Sarkar. But looking in the circle, Carnival Gaming and Raven especially, they're going to find themselves in the epicenter, right in the city of El Hazar. One Blade, definitely good rotations also coming from their side, completely from the eastern highway. But the cluster that is forming on the southern end, where MOGO is there, Revenant is there, Carnival is there, VASISTA is there. The problem lies in that cluster. Team Xpark also on the periphery of the circle towards the western side can easily gatekeep the players of Team Zero.
True, and since there are only 2 of them, they can either play in as a spoiler, they can just grab onto those couple of finishes. Even Entity now trying to take in a very late rotation. Here's the fun fact. We don't see Entity or iQOO Soul onto the map feed itself. Just because of how far back they are. Still not deciding to rotate, and I love the way how iQOO Soul are still trying to hunt down these 2 members, and Some out there in the open probably has an idea where Raiden might be. He's like that hunting wolf who knows where the other person would be, but Justin catches Juicy out in the rotation itself. Should be able to flush him as well as Destro completes that. They know where the members of 8-bit are. But they can't go in for those trades. Not in a good position. They all were just going in for the rotations. And what a play from MOGO. They knew someone would come in from down south. And it's going to be Aditya as well. And a heavy fire. A few shots being connected. The hitbox was there. But all the way from the far fray is where the cover fire is going to be coming in from. All the players sticking together, playing together. But can MOGO pounce onto them is the question.
They would want to, definitely they would want to, because 8-bit, let's be honest, the confidence is a little low, especially what happened in the previous game. Mighty and Aditya, for now, they are trying to scuttle back to the safety and escape from the situation, from the shots that are coming from the side of MOGO. It seems like they have made it to the safety, but the main question is how they are going to make it inside the circle. For now, Carnival Gaming, yes, they do have a good compound to hold on to, but those hilly areas, those ridges around the compound is something which they need to keep an eye on. But for now, Team Xpark peppering few bullets on the moving vehicle of Godlike Esports. This is a rivalry which has been brewing between the players of Team Xpark and Godlike since a very long time. And looks like Shadow is looking for some sort of action, but now retaliation shots are also coming in and Shadow has received hefty damage. He needs to move back to the safety.
I think so he should be able to without any major difficulties, and as you were mentioning about that gatekeeping, that's exactly what's happening. But the iQOO Soul now finally deciding to make the entry from the northern part, and guess what? There's also Godlike there. It seems like it's a date with destiny for both of these teams. One must wipe out the other. to then try and claim the throne. But on the other side of the spectrum, Team Xpark as well, since you mentioned about the western parts, or the western Ghats, they are the ones who are stopping all the teams from taking that entry, and that's why Godlike have to go all the way up north. But over towards down south is where we are still seeing the members of 8-bit all the way in Impala will be trying to trace the path of what One Blade took, but now that path is being blocked because you also have the members of Revenant all the way towards the southeastern part, so you can't take the entry from there. You'll have to take that entire highway, but that means that you'll be on the lower ground.
I'm worried about Team Tamilas, 8-bit, like you pointed out. But iQOO Soul, again, showcasing perfect rotation as they have the complete northern control of the circle. But for now, Godlike is one of those teams that can be that ugly thorn for the players of iQOO Soul, who might try and challenge them. But Raven, still having the control of the center of the circle. Carnival Gaming, Team Zero are also looking nearby. Team Xpark is trying to move inside the circle from the western front, and VASISTA coming from the southern end. Team Zero and Team Xpark are the teams which can be the team creating problem for VASISTA.
And as you mentioned, VASISTA now could be caught in the rotation as well. Shadow fires in a few more shots, but he's all the way out in the open. That's a big thing. Two of the players, Sarang along with Shadow, I think so it's good to try and rotate off of this part. Because if VASISTA Esports decides to pounce onto them, Ninja is not there to provide that support whatsoever. A bit more wide apart though, but another circle taking a bit more northern shift. Team Z is the one that actually takes the fight against the members of VASISTA Esports. Shadow has been taken down. That's a big problem because WSB is also deciding to take the entry from over towards the western area. And this entire kerfuffle that's going to happen. It's about time that we finally see the fight brew up, man. This has been so slow for Miramar map.
Yeah.
Very unconventional, or maybe not. That's how teams would normally play, but very unconventional for BGMS Season 3.
The teams are realizing that this is playoffs. You don't have the bounty, you don't have that impact player points which will help you rank up in the leaderboard. All you have to do is go map by map. Every point counts the most at this point. That could be the reason for the slow approach in this particular Miramar, but the action is finally starting off as Entity Raiden has been knocked off, and Carnival Gaming Neo will get the confirmation point as well. Samraj is also down to a very low HP, and the direction he's moving, well, I don't think he has an idea. He's directly breaching into the enemy compound.
Absolutely. One Blade should be able to get a finish onto him. But for now, Revenant out here getting scouted out by the members of MOGO. Destro was firing a few more shots, but again, not the perfect positioning as the cover fire is also being provided. Flock, safe. Both of them out up front in between the entire pack. 3 and 1 is the rotation. Blaze finally takes down one person. Beautiful spray down coming in from that M4. But again, Destro, look at that. Playing in all the way from far back. Tries to switch into the weapon as well. Uses the shotgun in the hand. Delta tries to jump up. Justin has been knocked down. Sepro is a perfect cover. But a person behind him fires a few shots. And that's 8-bit who are trying to ruin the game coming in from here. That's a big problem for the members of Revenant. But Flock and Sensei still out there. Blaze is the only one who's basically fallen down. The healing is going to come through in the form of that first hit, but Flock is running away. He needs to jump in. He needs to move out of that blue. Will finally be able to do so. But can he support his team is the big question. As MOGO, they are being taken down by those grenades coming in. What am I seeing? Xpark, a player just fell down to his death.
Yes, he certainly did, and Entity Somraj also went off by a grenade that came from the side of a KSR of One Blade. One Blade having the complete southern eastern control of the circle, periphery of the circle. They can easily gatekeep the players of Team Tamilas. Even we have the players of 8-bit also looking nearby, but for now Team Xpark, they are trying to challenge the players of VASISTA and Godlike. At the same time, they need to be a bit careful because VASISTA is right on their tails. Not a good position to be in.
Absolutely.
The constant barrage of nades is something they need to deal with. At the same time, iQOO Soul, Manya with a nade is looking for some sort of opening towards the side of WSB. Let's see if they can... towards the side of Revenant.
Absolutely. But again, they would have to leave this place. This is not a good ground to fight onto. Seth out here, up front in the open. Nakul, Somer, Ronnie, the firing squad is just here in front of him. They drop down and perfect pack of wolves. finally connect onto them as the members of 8-bit also pounce onto the members of Revenant. They have been eliminated probably. I don't think so any one of them is remaining. Just a couple of more players. Sensei, super low in that HP, will be taken down with that nade. It's absolutely diabolical. And iQOO Soul now losing Some, who's down on his knees, will also move backwards, but maybe not. They want to try and pounce onto the members of 8-bit who are hurt, who are in a big problem, who are in a big crunch as Aditya gets one onto Manya. The drive-by is there, but Ronnie does not catch the man himself with a shotgun. In the hand is enough for this guy. A perfect play down from iQOO Soul. And with that, they grab onto those elimination points.
And all those 3 finish points went for Ronnie, the star player of iQOO Soul. 3 finishes towards his name. iQOO Soul played it to the perfection. Yes, they lost on to Some, but I think they can deal with that. But for now, another threat is lurking nearby. That is the players of Godlike Esports. They have the numbers advantage, and the nades from the side of Z-God is something that can create problem for them. But Ronnie is trying to keep enemy at a distance. At the same time, they need the cover of the smoke. On the other side, somewhere else on the map, Team Tamilas Manti is on a domination spree as he gets 3 finishes of his own. And Carnival Gaming definitely giving a lot of trouble for the players of Team Xpark. The trades are coming back and forth, but for now, iQOO Soul having the height advantage in Godlike Esports. For them, this is a very crucial fight.
Xpark in all of that chaos still managed to get those 10 points, and that is bonkers. Because if I'm not wrong, it's Raven as well who they're taking that fight against. But Fauna on the other side, Anonymous up in front of the members of Team Z. Big problem to deal with. One braid, I don't think so. They've got a lot of members remaining. It's only Anonymous that is left. And Manti out here as well in another compound in a trifecta of teams or trifecta of these 4 players that's coming in. Team Z have got the best possible advantage. But again, the duels have not been looking clean. They have been facing struggles. Anonymous now changing the compound, and now it's Manti between the members of Team Z. Now that's a big problem because Team Z are going to get their attention onto the man himself from Team Tamilas. As Anonymous can eventually try and find an opportunity to pounce onto those targets who might be hurt by Manti himself. What a smart play. What a cheeky chess play coming in from this guy.
It's not a good situation for Manti at all because it's not only one blade Anonymous but also the players of Team Zero as well. Same goes for Anonymous. Team Zero definitely they are having an upper hand in this situation. But if the players of one blade and Team Tamilas are able to get one player down of Team Zero, it can go either ways. But the circle shift, scared circle is in no man's land. It's an open circle, not looking good for at all for any of those teams. Any of these teams, they need the cover of the smoke, they need the cover of the vehicles or the ridges and everything. But for now, Anonymous goes a little aggressive as he finds Syed gets a confirmation point as well. One more finish point towards the name of one blade, but the main problem is a circle, the blue zone, as Anonymous is dealing with the brand of the blue and all he has is 4 first aids.
Absolutely. Now Anonymous will be going in for his first aid plays as well. But again, the main fight is still happening between iQOO Soul, Godlike and Carnival Gaming who are bouncing upon each other as Punk gets knocked out in front of everyone as Power tries to bounce onto him. Not a good position, but again iQOO Soul trying to make it with the Tokyo Drift. Ronnie cannot drive that properly. Still jumping around, but there is also Nakul who will provide the support trying to get those confirmation out in the mid in front of everyone as Jonathan falls. It's all down to Edmino as Hector provides such a beautiful cover. Carnival Gaming should come out on top in this fight as it's only one man, Knuckle remaining, tries to play in, but Hector gets the confirmation. And what a nasty play coming in. Carnival Gaming in the Carnival of Chaos. Move up forward and move up front with that chicken dinner.
Certainly, definitely, Carnival Gaming, they snatched the chicken dinner for themselves, they earned it, and now they have made a statement that yes, they are here to rule. Let the Carnival begin is exactly what the players of Carnival are saying at this point.
Massive performance coming in from this team, stepping up when they needed to, struggling through the entire survival week, showing a god-tier domination in the domination week with a banger of 33 points if I'm not wrong. And now, such a massive chicken dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to take a lot of this time. Let's send it back to Surain on the stage.
हमने जितने मैचेस देखे हैं, this seemed like a game जहाँ पे precision, composure, सब कुछ बिल्कुल perfect था. Is it one of the best matches that you have played?
नहीं.
क्यों भाई?
हम और ज़्यादा kills expect करते हैं यार, ये बहुत कम kills हैं हमारे लिए.
Finishes boy, finishes, that's the word. Okay, पिछली बार भी हमने आई थिंक लास्ट वीक बात की थी जब मिरामार पे ही तुम्हें चिकन डिनर मिला था. यू सीम टू बी मेकिंग अ हैबिट ऑफ दिस मैप, विनिंग अ चिकन डिनर.
नहीं, हमारा कोई ऐसा इंडिविजुअल मैप स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं, हमारे सारे ही स्ट्रॉन्ग करना है हमें.
यू नो पहले जो 2 गेम्स थे उसमें शायद वो अंदाज देखने को नहीं मिला जो इस गेम में हमें देखने को मिला है. व्हाट चेंज्ड?
माइंडसेट बहुत सेम था हमारा कि मारना है एंड मतलब ऐसा क्वालिफिकेशन वाला कोई वो नहीं था, प्रेशर नहीं था हमें. हमारा था कि ये बस अपना गेम खेलना है, जैसे हमने प्रिपेयर करके आया ना वो हर मैच अपना निकालना है बस.
आप इस एरंगल में जाने वाले हो, पहला एरंगल. एक्सपेक्टेशंस भी होंगी अब क्योंकि हम प्लेऑफ वीक में हैं, तो उसमें क्या कुछ बदलाव देखने वाले हैं और आर यू गोइंग टू स्टिक टू योर ओन गन्स?
हमारे ओन प्ले पे हम स्टिक करेंगे, बट हाँ थोड़ा प्रेशर रिलीज़ हो गया वो क्वालिफिकेशन वाला. बस अभी थोड़े पॉइंट्स चाहिए और क्वालिफाई होने के लिए, तो हम उसकी रेडी करेंगे, उसकी तैयारी करेंगे, फिर फाइनल जाए.
आज दिन की शुरुआत में ही हमने इस वर्ड का इस्तेमाल किया था, प्रेशर. सम टीम्स आर स्टिल फीलिंग इट, लेकिन यहाँ पे सीजी कार्निवल, वेल दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू फील दैट मच प्रेशर नाउ बिकॉज इन्हें मिला है चिकन डिनर. लेंगे एक ब्रेक एंड देन इट्स द फाइनल मैच ऑफ प्ले ऑफ डे नंबर 1.
जख्मी शेर को छेड़ते नहीं, उसने शिकार करना छोड़ा है, भूला नहीं. लेट द कार्निवल बिगिन.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है. क्या होगा अगर मैं ये सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ये वही जगह है. क्या होगा अगर मैं ये सब कुछ तबाह कर दूं तो? मैं इस टावर के ऊपर पहुंच कर ही रहूंगा.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
Red Bull gives you wings.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books.
Carnival in that carnival of chaos finally emerged victorious, and that was one of the most necessary plays coming in from this team. Ladies and gentlemen, adaptations are necessary and this team adapted to the perfection. But you know what? They kind of reminded me of just like the students of Jujutsu Kaisen in the Jujutsu Hive, the way how they take down all the curses out in the arena. You can also take down all those curses and watch whatever I'm talking about, specifically with the Crunchyroll app. 79 rupees per month is the cost of its subscription, and you can watch your favorite animes in your preferred language. And with more than 800 animes out in the library, I think so you're going to spend a lot of those times deciding which one you really want to watch. But you know, as we are talking about Shadow, how are you feeling right now walking into the English desk after just doing the Hindi casting?
Let's be honest, Care, you need to accept it. You were missing me. You wanted me on the English desk, and
Wow.
here I am.
I'm not going to deny that, but yes, it's nice having you two on board because, again, the previous match was super exciting and we did need a big amount of breakdown and the breakthrough through that, right? Because over towards the north is where we were talking about Soul and Godlike will collide, but again, Carnival Gaming moving along that western edge is where they found the best possible opening. But the MVP is going to be Manti from Team Tamilas with 4 finishes and 44% contribution.
Kind of a deja vu moment.
Probably.
Because he was a MVP in the previous game as well. Best companion is going to be Neo of Carnival Gaming with 2 rescues and 2 assists. Healings none as 205. Definitely Neo has been doing phenomenal for the players of Carnival Gaming, and his addition in the team is doing wonders. And correct me if I'm wrong, he's also in the top fragger list as well.
I mean, with the way how he's 1v4ing almost all the
Yeah.
other teams, he's bound to be there against Team Z as well, then against iQOO. Soul 2 back in the domination week. This man has always stepped up. But again, with Team Tamilas, how they lost the early members out, even after that, they managed to get a few scrap finishes left, right and center, shows the consistency of this team. And since we are talking about consistency, Orangutan, since the previous 2 games, have also been showing some good signs of life.
But this time the start was not good. Yes, they did manage to eliminate the entirety of Team Forever, but they lost 2 of their own. Had this been a convincing fight where the 3 or 4 players survived off Team Orangutan, maybe better results could have been from the side of OG. But yes, a step in the right direction. Finally, OG has started showcasing good signs of comeback, and this is exactly what we need. Especially iQOO, I think he has been fantastic. And if I'm not wrong, he's in the MVP race as well, in the top 5 MVP race.
Absolutely, and since we're already talking about the races, right, there was this one big race to get the power position in the circle itself. You mentioned how it is entirely in the open grounds, and there was no hill to be utilized too, because everything was safe on the downhill side. So that means you had to find that timing, and that's what Carnival Gaming did, sending out 2 players up far forward and then 2 players staying back to try and fight in for that position, support their teammates. And with that, they've also got the 20 points. Probably the only team who are actually looking up on the first place after grabbing that chicken dinner.
Yeah, 20 points to the name of Carnival Gaming, and finally the comeback is there from their side. But Revenant Esports, I don't know what happened to this particular team. The rotations are still looking fantastic in all the 3 games. This time also they had the complete northern control of the circle with themselves, but the points are not coming. The Raven, which was in the domination week, which was in the power play week, second week, that Raven is completely missing today.
I would agree with you on that one, because we normally would see Raven fighting in those 4v4 scenarios in one of the best ways, but that is just not happening. But something that's really good is happening for WSB. I don't know what they've had for the dinner, maybe for the lunch, for the breakfast, but this team is doing phenomenal. 41 points up for them. Team X-Park as well. This team was all the way down towards the lower end. Now over on the second spot with 35 points. And we see 8-bit Orangutan, Team Tamilas, iQOO Soul as well on 29 points. Carnival Gaming with that banger of a performance are down to that 4th spot too. But problems for the bottom 4. Revenant is a team that I never really thought would be here.
No one thought Revenant would be at the 16th spot at the end of the day. Sensei is one of those IGLs who know how to lead the team, who know how to get those placement points, get the finish points. Being the IGL, he's doing the assaulter work as well, and that is completely missing from the side of Revenant. Even this is a big shocker for me, seeing Revenant at the 16th spot. Maybe the last game can change the fate of Revenant.
I mean, let's just see, because again, we're having the schedule on our screen, ladies and gentlemen. The last game is always going to be on that map of Erangel. We love that. We always love that. No one can deny that. The best map ever created. All that. Blah, 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 blah. But We've been talking about the map of Erangel and we have seen some clean rotations coming in from a lot of those teams, but I'm still pretty scared for teams like One Blade. Yes, they are not in the bottom 4, but still they only have those 10 points. So they need to move up. Team Z as well on that far free. Team Forever not finding their footing in the first 3 games. Can they do it in the last one?
Team Z and Team One Blade, both the teams are relying on only few individuals. Speaking of One Blade, they're relying too much on Anonymous. If Sarkar steps up, if the remaining player steps up, I think we can see a comeback coming from the side of One Blade Esports. But at the same time, speaking of Team Zero as well, it's only Syed and Scout performing. The remaining 2 players, they also need to step up, and whenever that happens, we can definitely see a major comeback in the players of Team Zero.
What about Team Forever again? Because this team was doing pretty solid job over in the past few weeks that we saw, but now it seems that it's all gone down.
Again, they're relying on Mafia. All these 3 teams, if you look at the stat, I'm speaking statistically, look at the finishes which they have accumulated. It's only Mafia outperforming everyone else in the team.
That's a big thing and a big problem that teams need to figure out, and they do not have a lot of that time to try and do that, because now it's going to be the last match for the evening, and also we will be halfway through the playoffs after this map of Erangel, ladies and gentlemen. We all are waiting for the play-in fly part to boot up on our screen, but honestly, even if it's going to be a northern-sided plane or a southern-sided plane, teams will have to collide early on, because it's the playoffs that matters. It's the early eliminations that matters. You do not have the bounty to work on with. You do not have the impact player to work around with. So it's all needs to be that raw gun power, that raw firing power, which Xpark is looking very solid in. WSB have been showing the signs of life, but now this plane is gonna come alive. It's all the way starting from the southern part of hospital, going down south to military base. So a lot of those teams will be happy, but the teams who want to drop up in Severny will have to travel a long way.
Even for Lipovka, Kamesh, Milta Power, these are the drop cities which are not going to be easily glideable. And we know Godlike going toward the side of Stalber and Kameshki. Day before yesterday, we saw Carnival Gaming also going in that particular direction. I know for some other reason, because the bounty points, impact player points, so many things were there which Carnival Gaming wanted to get benefit of. But for now, speaking of a team who likes going towards the side of military base, are the players of MOGO Esports. Okay, they already have 1 chicken dinner in the pockets. If MOGO somehow manages to get average points in this one, I think they'll be looking pretty solid in day number 1.
What I feel is that MOGO are not looking to try and barge into any of the top positions, right? The mindset is probably going to be that we don't have to be in the bottom 4. And it's not just them. A lot of these teams are probably thinking the exact same thing. And because of that, they've kind of slowed their pace down. And because of that slowdown, we are seeing some problems now. Because this wait a second.
Oh.
Who is iQOO Soul targeting right now? I want to know that answer right away. Oh, they're probably the members of Revenant. They're all moving in towards the Milta. It's either Revenant or it's Team Z. Either one of them are going to be hard targeted by the members of iQOO Soul. MOGO are happy down in military base, and it's probably Team Z as well, who are moving slowly towards Nova Repnoi. That's a big cluster moving up north. But wait a second, even Team Forever, seems like there's someone who are knocking onto their doors, and it's Team Xpark, because again, it's a pit stop collision. They want to drop in over towards Yasnaya Poliana, which was unreachable. So they should be able to do that with the vehicles that they have. Orangutan just over the western part of that farm area. Oh my god, iQOO Soul, they've actually dropped in over the members of Team Z. That's a big red sign.
Do they even have the weaponry in their hands? Then the answer is no, as Addy with the PP Bison finds a knock onto Manya. This was a big mistake from the side of iQOO Soul. Their IGL has been knocked out, and there is no way in hell they can go for the rescue mission onto him, because they don't have the weaponry. They've got nothing at all. iQOO Soul, I don't know what the plan was, but whatever the plan was, seems like it's backfiring.
It failed horribly, you can say that right away on the stream itself, because Kylo, we mentioned about the players who wanted to step up, and Kylo is the man who's finally finding that opening. Manya has been taken down. Knuckle has got the barrel in his own hand, but only 44 bullets if you combine the ones and the Mag 2 Uzi. Not the best weaponry for the long-range fight whatsoever, and iQOO Soul are just going to try and deny the entry to Team Z over towards Nova Repnoi. That's what I want probably think they're gonna do. Maybe just trying to go in for a bit of a macro play out here to choke down their loot. But I don't think so. That's gonna help them out for the longer run too. Because again, Team Z, they normally drop around these compounds where they have taken the drop.
Yes, they do. But for now, I think Team Z can definitely go and have a head-on fight with the players of iQOO Soul, because now they do realize that the IGL is not there. iQOO Soul, they're already bleeding. They can definitely take benefit of it. But for now, Revenant, I thought iQOO Soul are going to go to towards the drop location of Revenant, towards the side of Milta, but that didn't happen. They were going actually for Novoripnoi.
True.
Ronnie is still there. I still have hopes for iQOO Soul. Things can turn around.
You know, here's the thing. What I thought was that iQOO Soul was just doing that inky pinky ponky. Decide where they want to drop in. Because they were moving in the direction of Revenant. And then they were like, you know what, let's do a toss. And it probably came tails. And they were like, alright, I guess Team Z is our target. And then just drop down there. Just choosing out randomly out in the open though. But as you mentioned, one good thing coming in for Godlike, they always like to drop around over towards the edges. This time Zaki was available, so they dropped there because again Team Forever could easily move over towards the southern part of Pochinki, which they kinda like to loot. And that's where the members of 8-bit are rotating from, so they should have the idea. But the northern circle, since now it's forming, all these teams over towards the southern island will have to finally decide onto one of those bridge and move forward, because one is normally camped by 8-bit, the other one is normally camped by Revenant.
That is definitely going to be a big problem. But for now, there is no bridge camp. But later on, there will be. As you pointed out, WSB again back to their home ground that has been Pochinki since a very long time. WSB is one of those teams who impressed me long time back when I first saw them in one of the third-party tournaments. And WSB at that point also, they were a dominating force in the lobby. And still, they are the same. But speaking of Carnival Gaming as well, in the close proximity, we have the players of Team Raven. Raven and Carnival Gaming, there is a possibility of them going up against each other. Team X-Park again back in the city of Yasnia. This is a good day for X-Park. In the last Erangel, if you remember the first Erangel, what happened in Siverny, it was Team Entity, Team Godlike, Team X-Park, even iQOO Soul and VASISTA, they also came. So that was a pretty intense Erangel, but this time 8-bit Mac with a M249 in hand finds Sanhok and the confirmation as well on Ash of Team Forever.
Ash normally likes to play a bit far forward with his team. They kind of go in with a 1-3 split whenever they are trying to hold down some places. And I guess this time around it backfired too onto them. Wait a second, Scout. Oh my god, the man looks unaware. Never mind, saw me. The young lad just outplays a veteran in that angle. This could potentially be one of the plays of his lifetime. What a dirty, dirty pick. That's a big blow to the members of Team Z. Just peeks in over towards the right to try and finish off Scout. Wow, man, that's something he is going to remember for a long time, let's be honest. But now with that, the numbers are equalized, so iQOO Soul can definitely try and create a big problem for the members of Team Z, as most of them are in the same compound. And look at where Knuckle is. He is spotted though, so that's a big thing. And Team Z, they've kind of decided to take on the fight against that man. But as soon as they do that, a couple of players behind them will bounce onto them.
Oh, little short.
Short?
Otherwise, Knuckle...
It's high.
High and short, both. Basically, it was not a good grenade, definitely.
It was not.
I'm speaking fact, dude.
It is.
It was not a good nade because Knuckle should have been knocked out in that situation. But things like these do happen. We are not that good in mathematics and especially trigonometry.
Hey. Why did you
but
assume
look at
that
the bullets. Look at the bullets which Knuckle is having. Only 25 bullets. But wait a second. Team Tamilas versus Team 8-bit. Also locking horns with each other out in the open. And Team Tamilas, they're wounded. As 2+ already down. And Aditya, M416 goes for a reload. And Team Tamilas, they've already closed in the distance. At this point, 8-bit, all they want to do is escape back to the safety. Will that be allowed? That's the main question. And Aditya finds a knock onto Maxi OP. This is huge opening for 8-bit.
Absolutely. They've been taken down, but Aditya finally moves out forward. The slam of the vehicle is perfect, but is it enough? It's going to be a question that players have been knocked down on their knees. The buggy is out there doing the parkour, but wait a second. How did this guy knocked out? He got knocked out by the flying buggy. Or maybe it was the vehicle explosion right next to him, but I'm still going to consider it was the flying buggy. Either ways, Team Tamilas getting one of those crucial those crucial picks is something that they needed. But WSB finding a perfect opportunity to try and third party. That's a big problem out there because they're stealing all those finishes away.
Oh, they are certainly. Team Tamilas, for the first Erangel, Carnival Gaming happened with them. They lost 2+, and this time also the same story happening. Team Tamilas is one of those teams that need all the 4+ alive. Otherwise, the pace completely changes for them.
True.
iQOO, Team 0, still kind of a deadlock situation. They both are just waiting for each other to commit any sort of mistake. Knuckles still hiding behind the tree, and thankfully Kylo doesn't have any more grenade or Molotov. Otherwise, Knuckle would have been a dead man by now. And
that is true.
All the perfect cover fire is being provided by Some as well, which is also making sure the Team 0, they stick to their own compound.
And that's a big thing, right? Since we've mentioned about it already, Team Z in just that one compound is a big problem. And there's also MOGO out there down south of them who are ready to pounce on these players. The first zone is not going to do that much amount of damage either ways. We've seen a lot of these teams decide to go in for that tank. And look at the angle of MOGO right now. These are just hungry eagles out high in the sky on this mountain. I don't know. I mean, we call the mountain down south of the hospital as Everest. What do we call this? I think so this is higher than the other one. I'll call it Olympus Mons.
You and your analogies, I'm not going to say anything on that at all. But we have a threat for the plus of Team Forever as well, because Revenant, they have started off their rotation and they're lurking nearby the compound which Forever likes to hold on to. So maybe this could be the approach of Sensei at this point, that breach into the compounds of Team Forever, try getting those four finish points for the team. If that's the case, Sensei is providing all the backline support which is required in that scenario. But for now, other teams are also moving ahead inside the circle. Too many possible fights are going to happen as MOGO Justin finds a knock onto Addy, gets a confirmation as well. MOGO from the higher ground is definitely taking a huge benefit and doing a perfect third party.
On top of that, Olympus Mons, we'll talk about that later, as right now the members of Revenant being pounced by the members of Team Forever. They've already lost one of them. So it's going to be a big thing. Team Forever on the defense right now, over on the top floors. Mafia has got his nade as well in the hand, can get a perfectly cooked one too. It's a 2v1 on the right warehouse, and where Mafia has finally been knocked out. He got blasted by his own nade. That's a big problem as the confirmation will now come in. Sensei gets the pick onto them, and now they know that there could be a couple of players on the other side. But can you jump in without any util dump? Because this is a big crossfire that you need to break.
What? Oh, it has been broken by Safe's grenade as Omega. And Ninja is going to answer back as he gets one, not just one, but two. Gets a confirmation point as well onto Flock. Ninja going huge with that weapon in his hand. Could be the savior for his team, but no, Saif won't allow that as a DBS right on his face marks an end for Team Forever.
That was such a beautiful play coming in, but look at the amount of vultures left, right and center. OG and WSB as well. In the map feed, we can see them are now trying to pounce onto the members of Revenant. This is going to be a big blow because already they've lost a couple of members, and it's going to be OG who drive by first right next to them. All the players now back on the feed, but the HP is pretty low for Blaze, who will try to patch himself up. iQOO all the way in the far back is a big question, a big sign of trouble right now. But the shots being fired. Veron tries to catch one. Molotov right onto the floor is Lava, but he still gets the pick with the M4 right now. Gets the confirmation too. Switches the weaponry as Atanki goes in, gets another knock. There's a man on top as Save, who will try to survive. Save was taken out, but what a three-pointer right from downtown. Gets the flush, but WSB is now joining into the fight. They want to join into the action as well, try to catch in, but wait a second. iQOO with that angle probably has got two players already out there in the open, and WSB are now on the defending end.
It's only Arman and Shikari, but Shikari with a grenade finds a perfect knock onto one of the player of Orangutan. Now it's all down to iQOO and Atanki as iQOO is going for the confirmation points on the knock players of WSB. So that means it's all down to Atanki in a 1v2 situation, as Atanki with a nade of his own is trying to find some sort of connection. But Will the connection be there as WSB? They're going for the rescue mission on the fallen comrade, but Atanki comes in with the S12K, finds one more knock.
Now it's going to be down to a situation of a 1v2. iQOO gets another confirmation onto Zera, but the fight is out in the open. Atanki decides to patch himself up, and Shikari trying to slow things down. This has been such a deadly point in these warehouses. Every player who's on top gets a couple of finishes, or you could say the knocks, but cannot turn them into those finishes. Another nade comes down. Shikari pretty low in that HP. Needs to patch himself up back again. The boost is going to last for a while though, but no more extra movement speed up from there. But finally he sees the player, trying to go for the spray down, sees one, but the S12K is enough. And Atanki, the man terrorizing WSB, takes down the behemoths. But they still managed to get 5 points in this game. So the consistency is still present for these teams. And in the meantime, when that was happening, MOGO were able to claim some important points onto the members of Team Z and also damage a lot to the members of iQOO Seoul.
iQOO Seoul, they have been wounded. And now MOGO, Delta, the entire team is just waiting for the last remaining player of iQOO Seoul, who is Ronnie. Shogun with a vehicle is already closing in the distance. MOGO knows exactly where Ronnie could be.
But do you want to take the 1v3 with this guy?
Yeah, I would.
With the amount of times he's pulled off his own shenanigans, I mean, this is something you can't really do with the ace in his hands. Trying to ace out in this lobby, trying to ace out the players right now. But it's got to be watching out for all those flanks coming in. A beautiful trap being set up by the members of MOGO as the fights. Shots being fired out from the long distance. He can't do anything. Will be taken down, and a perfect play. A perfect trap being set up by MOGO. The amount of respect that they gave to Ronnie, commendable.
Because it's Ronnie, one of the star player of the lobby. Let's be honest, Ronnie has proved it in so many times in the past. That's the reason MOGO, they don't want to take any sort of risk, because it could be DBS or S12K waiting on the other end. Let's be honest, it's not just Ronnie. If it was DBS also in some other player's hands, a direct 1v1 rush could have been risky. And that is exactly what MOGO decided, that we are not going to give a solo individual fight to Ronnie. Rather, we are going to push as an enemy, as a unit. But speaking of the circle, Carnival, they are right in the epicenter. Godlike towards the side of Rozok. This time, Entity are not going for a late rotation. They have the entire control of the Pochinki Hill. Then we have the players of Team Xpark also towards the Water City. I'm sorry, towards the side of Ruins. Definitely looking good in this particular circle.
Because it can take any kind of shift, right? With the nasty shenanigans that the circle normally pulls up, I think so it's a good position to hold as well. But if it goes down south, that's when the problems will start to begin for both VASISTA, Team Xpark, even Godlike. Some shots being fired upon on the far fray in the long end. And it is the members of VASISTA knocking onto the doors of Team Xpark. Trying to just fire in a few shots, catching someone. And the 3x is not the perfect scope to try and scout out as to who is actually shooting on you. But it's absolutely fine. But something that is not fine is definitely the numbers of Team Tamilas too, right? Because facing some problems, but wait a second. In the meantime, the shots were being fired from VASISTA Esports. Carnival Gaming found an opener onto them, and Shadow has been knocked out. That's a big problem because Goblin, Neo and Goblin, both of them are trying to rush in to try and capture that one flush point. But there's also some support. Can he go in for the clutch as well? Goblin tries to fire a few shots, but the vehicles barging in from left, right and center seems to be like a carnival, and this is where this team shines the most. Not one, but catch two. But wait a second, Secret, he knows that there have been 2 knocks already. He wants to jump in, try to catch on to that player as well, but there's a crossfire being created, and Carnival Gaming wipes out VASISTA Esports. Shadow, break down that fight.
It was a position of Hector and his power. The perfect crossfire was present there, and the remaining 2 players of VASISTA Esports were confused where to take the fight. And that is exactly where Carnival shine the most. But Revenant Esports aim god is also there to create problems for the players of Carnival Gaming. Wounded Carnival is not able to stand tall in front of Revenant Esports, and Goblin has been forced to fall back from that situation. He's going to make a safe escape and scuttle back to the safety. Carnival Gaming, the victory lift shot. Only 4 finishes, and it's only 1 last player remaining. But the opportunistic one, Revenant Esports, at the perfect time striked on the wounded players of Carnival.
Beautiful timing being picked up by Raven, as you mentioned. They were seeing what all the commotion that was happening in the finish feed itself and then realized that they need to do that cleanup job on towards that northwestern part. Team Xbox was just the spectator in the entire fight, and guess what? All that commotion, everything, it just got enabled because VASISTA Esports decided to fire a few shots onto the members of Team Xbox in such a long range. That is what gave it away. That is what gave their position away, and Carnival were the first one to pounce onto them. Team Xbox were just the spectators out there watching the perfect movie unfold. But now, since the circle moving in a bit more towards the south, all of these teams are trying to find that entry. And now for the final late rotation, the final boss that we always talk about is where MOGO are now taking that entry. Godlike as well, moving in from down south of Pochinki, will probably try to take that covers of Pochinki and all those compounds and then move in. MOGO will have the entire southern side for themselves. This looks like it could be a good game for MOGO too.
Could be. Possibility is definitely going to be there, but looking at the circle, right now Raven is definitely in a very good spot. Team Xpark also keeping a close eye on the players of Team Revenant, but the next fight could be brewing between the players of Orangutan and Godlike Esports. Orangutan towards that lower ridge is trying to find some sort of opening in the players of Godlike.
Seems like they'll be just shying away from that fight, do not want anything of what Godlike are selling. And I like this approach from Godlike, I'll be honest, because every single time we would normally see this team, if there was someone stopping them from entering, they would try and dodge that fight. Every other time we've seen Godlike just give up on that position and move along the lines of that circle to someplace else. Maybe a bit more north, maybe a bit more south, depending on where they find the good comfort in. But right now, they just decided that, you know what? We like this position. We are ready for the fight. We are bringing it to you. Are you strong enough to stand in front of us? Orangutan said that it is not the right time. Because again, those third parties that always happen is something that even they are concerned about.
And maybe they want to move a little towards the center of the circle and prepare themselves for the next circle shift. That could be the approach for the players of Orangutan. They are looking at the bigger picture at this point. Raven, MOGO definitely at a very good spot. Team Xpark also having a very good compound to their name. And the main thing is where the next circle is going to shift. That is going to decide the fate of so many teams. If it goes a little south, MOGO will be very happy. If it goes a little north, I think Team Xpark can get benefit from it. But Carnival Gaming, Goblin, look at his position. He's all the way towards the western side, on the western periphery of the circle.
He's just happy about all of it. You can enjoy all that action out. He just wants to play for survival. Imagine if he gets the second position thanks to all the heal battles and everything. The team would still be on a pretty good spot with 9 points, but that is again considering that they will get the second position, which does not seem to be the case. I don't think so. He's had enough time to go in for the loot or even enough time to try and get some from the crates of his teammates. Because again, all of that were being controlled by Raven, and guess what? He's still around them, still in the vicinity. Raven have spread out through the entire western and southwestern part of the circle. This is an important positioning because I guess the next one's going to form an aim god. Never mind. Takes in a bigger north shift. And this is going to be the entire eastern and southeastern part. Just like a border between two countries who are on a war. Not taking the name.
Exactly. You just read my mind. I was about to ask you, name the countries as well. If you are going to that length. But this circle is definitely favoring the players of Team Xpark. This is their game to lose if things go right. Yes, Entity could be that ugly thorn for the players of Team Xpark, but look at the rotations which the players of OneBlade are having. They're going all the way around from the northern end, trying to potentially look for the northern control. Could be a good rotation, but Spray God is definitely aware about the plan of OneBlade. Few bullets being peppered on the vehicles of OneBlade, but seems like OneBlade, they have a safe rotation, but Goblin is not going to be safe because that is exactly where OneBlade are heading.
Oh my god, oh my lord, my man Goblin. Let's see how long he survives in that commotion. He can try and find one onto Anonymous though as he's out here, but he is probably unnoticed till now. So that's a big thing. Should be noticed by now, maybe. Closes the door. Yeah, they know where he is. Tries to go in for the fight as well. Does need to bring it to the members of One Blade. It's a 1v4 and cannot happen unless he's given a lot of 1v1s. Probably can find one out here. Gets the first knock onto Kana. Important. But can he get anything more is a big, big question. Still goes in for the rotation. But oh my god, the floor is lava. The man is all on fire. And he needs to be as well. Because he wants to get those picks. But will be down to just 75% of his HP now. That's a big, big problem. Shogun fire a few shots as well onto the members of One Blade. This is a big thing. And this is a big sign of support for Goblin.
Oh, definitely it is. It is. It's a blessing in disguise for Goblin at this point with the Molotov looking for one more knock, and he definitely finds it. Valiant efforts, but finally he gets taken down by KSR. Valiant effort from the side of Goblin, but One Blade reigns supreme in Carnival Gaming. Bids bye-bye with 4 finish points. One Blade, they need to be careful because the team which has stepped in the compound is MOGO Esports.
Exactly. They know the 3 of them have been knocked out though, but a very wide nade trying to catch one person. A difficult thing to try and compound, but on the other side of the spectrum though, it's going to be a lot of finishes falling off, and Team Xpark is the one who's actually catching a lot of them. But Justin wants to find a few more shots. 3-player right in front of him. Will not be able to find anything. Both that one, but what an angle by Kana. Catching 2 players from MOGO out there, but will finally be wiped out. The support comes in for MOGO, and they will be able to survive, but for how long is a big question. Losing quite a lot of those members as Xpark as well, now trying to take the fight against Entity. Wanted the third party when Soul was fighting them, and will find a few more confirmations, a few more flushes. Xpark have already lost one member, and that's Ninja. You do not want to lose Ninja in these circumstances when you've got such a crucial circle point.
But you have got Sarang and Spray God. These are the players who stepped up big time last time when Ninja was taken down during the league plays. There's still hope for the players of Team Xpark. They have the complete eastern control of the circle as well, and Godlike, they are towards the western side. But the problem scared here lies is Raven, Team Tamilas, MOGO, all of them will be coming from the western front, and Godlike will be at the receiving end. They have to deal with too many fights. Spray God already dealing with Vanti, takes him down. That means Mr. IGL is the only man remaining as Team Xpark is trying to get the confirmation point, and the confirmation will be made.
I mean, the answer lies in the name of the man himself, Spray God. Catching one person, but they're making a lot of those noise, and they're using up a lot of those bullets as well. There's still 2 4v4s out there, out in the open. And as you mentioned, MOGO are slowly and steadily moving in from that western part. But the only 2 compounds that you really have for some hard cover have been taken by 2 behemoths. How are you going to break through that is the big question. The timing is crucial for this, and I think so Raven might come out on top if they decide to pounce on the MOGO versus Godlike duel on a good time.
Could be possible. The possibilities are going to be immense in this situation, but for now Team Xpark, especially from that rooftop angle, Xpark is definitely having a lot of information and vision as well on the open field. That is exactly what the players of Godlike are also trying to do, and Shadow deals with the last player of Team Tamilas. And Team Tamilas also bids bye-bye on the 5th spot with total of 5 finishes to their name. 4 teams remaining, but the numbers advantage lies with the players of Revenant Esports.
Absolutely, all the other teams have lost at least one of those players, so I don't really love the positioning that's coming in from Raven though, but at least they can move up and down constantly with some decent amount of covers, and that's probably what even MOGO are doing. But MOGO really just on the edge, on the far fray, catches one. Hulk has been taken down, but a good return knock coming in the form of Aim God, catches down one person too. So Raven should be able to patch up their players. Not a lot of vehicles to work around with, but even Godlike are trying to fire in a few more shots, and then there's Xpark as well. The circle shift is going to determine who is going to get that big win-win chicken dinner.
100% agree with you. The next circle shift is going to be the deciding factor if it goes toward the side of Team Xpark. But holy moly, it goes in no man's land. Team Xpark, Godlike, Raven, MOGO, they all have to move inside the circle. But yes, Godlike and Team Xpark, they're still somewhere close to the circle.
Now here's the big question. Do you try and prioritize the fights that are happening outside of it, or do you try and prioritize the circle?
Circle always.
I mean, you want those finishes as well. You want those finish points. The chicken is going to give you 10, but right now you have what? How many? 4 and 3, 7 and 3, 10 finishes in front of you itself. Yes, you cannot catch all of them, but if you catch the timing, that's going to be important. That's exactly what MOGO have got against the members of Godlike. Shogun wants to jump in, wants to confirm the pick onto Z-God, as he will be taken down. He will be confirmed as well. Shots being fired onto the members of Godlike, but Justin has been answered back on the other side. Down on his knees. It's going to be Delta. Needs to fire a few shots, but Jonathan is the man in front of him. Will take him down, and it's all down to just one last remaining man of MOGO. Tries to use the molly. Shogun, for how long can you stand? My man, and not long enough. As that's going to be a perfect flush coming in. Jonathan, with his frags, has been impeccable in this BGMS Season 3.
Oh, definitely. Jonathan and Punk, they both have been impeccable. Jonathan especially today, having 2 finishes out of 3, but Punk gets one more knock onto Reaper of Team Raven. Raven now they're wounded. 3+ already down. Even Team Xpark also trying to get the benefit, get those finishes of Team Raven Esports, as Sarang gets a finish point of Aim God. Reaper also burning in that situation.
Oh my God.
By Sarang. Random spray in the smoke, gets a confirmation point as well. So Raven at this point, what they can do, as it's only Hulk remaining, and Sarang was on a rampage with 5 finishes.
Absolutely. And again, I mentioned about this position, right? I was not a big fan of this position. Even if the circle fell on you, I wouldn't think that that was the best position whatsoever. Just because of the fact how there could be a big bombardment of all those utilities. So Raven have got absolutely nothing to work around with right now, and all the way out in the blue, and Team Xpark are the one who are now under the blessing of the circle. Jonathan as well, along with the entire Godlike. They've just got a couple of more players remaining, Jonathan and Punk. These two have been the most successful players for Godlike, so I still think they can pull it off.
It's Jonathan, it's Punk, definitely they can, but look at the enemy also. It's Team Xpark. It's not going to be easy at all for both these teams. Hulk can be that deciding factor, but he has already been eliminated, dealt with. Now it's all about Godlike versus Team Xpark. With a barrage of grenades, trying to find some sort of connection, some sort of opening, throw those utilities. Spray God also closing nearby. Jonathan is going to the first point of contact. Jonathan needs to be careful. He needs to deal with the rush that is coming from the side of Shadow and Spray God. But look at the position of Punk as well.
That's a big, long 3-pointer, a bit too far wide, a bit too far out. But as you mentioned, Punk's positioning is crucial. Answer back from Jonathan with his nades is also coming in. He gets the player onto low HP, and that's probably Sarang as Spray God moves up forward. And finally, the nade finds the man himself. And it's all down to the man who was trying to reposition, and that's going to be Punk. Can he find the possibility of a 2-knock? He needs to get those 2 flushes right away. That's the only thing that can help him survive. But it is Xpark who catch one person confirmed as well, and all 3 moving together in a pack. Shadow gets knocked down. Sarang and Spray God down on the positioning of Punk, but he tries to catch another person as well, maybe catching a timing, but does not matter, as it's Spray God who will finally catch him. And Team Xpark, after such a long time and after such a long journey, get another chicken dinner. That is finally paving the way for them to be in that finals.
Everyone was asking, when will the comeback of Team Xpark come? When Team Xpark is going to get a chicken dinner? And the answer is right here. In the playoffs, on the very first day, Team Xpark having a very good start. The first Erangel, they get the finish points. The second matchup, they get good points. And the final last Erangel, they get a winner-winner chicken dinner.
Absolutely. An important one, a crucial one. The perfect possible way to end the day 1. But ladies and gentlemen, let's throw it down to the perfect man Suren out there on the stage himself for the interview.
मैन वो कहते हैं ना, जैसे बॉक्सिंग, MMA, रेसलिंग, उसमें एक मेन इवेंट टाइप फाइट होती है ना, एंड में वो फाइट देखने को मिल गई. एक तरफ गॉडलाइक, जॉनथन एंड पंक, और एक तरफ तुम्हारी टीम. थोड़ी नर्व्स या इट वाज जस्ट एक्साइटिंग
ही था कि पहला चिकन आ रहा है हम लोग का इस इवेंट में, तो एक्साइटेड थे
यार. हमने आज सुबह जब बात की थी, वी डिड स्पीक अबाउट, जूसी भी साथ में था राइट, कि तुम दोनों की टीम्स जो हैं दे हैव बीन अंडरवेलमिंग इन सर्वाइवल एंड डोमिनेशन. भाई लेकिन कुछ तो मंत्र फूंक के आए हो, कुछ तो जड़ी बूटियां खा के आए हो, बिकॉज इट सीम्स लाइक इट्स अ डिफरेंट टीम.
सुबह आपने बोला था ना कि क्लास इज परमानेंट, फॉर्म इज टेम्पररी. वही था कि मतलब बोला था क्लास दिखाएंगे, आज दिखा रहे हैं इसलिए।
भाई एक सेकंड, मुझे बस उसने तो बहुत शांत तरीके से बता दिया। लास्ट फाइट जो थी गॉडलाइक के साथ, उसमें तुम्हारे पास इन्फॉर्मेशन भी नहीं थी, तो क्या चल रहा था उस टाइम पे तुम्हारे जहन में?
जैसे कि मैं तो पहले मर गया था और ये 3 मैन थे, तो मैंने देखा कि वो रेवन का बंदा जोन में मर गया। फिर मेरे को पता ही था ये लोग मार ही देंगे। मैं बोला
कोच कर रहा था तू ऑलमोस्ट।
बोला नेड करो उस पे, वो खत्म ही है, क्या करेंगे 2 मैन, वो पूरा उधर फंस ही गए, मार ही नहीं पाएंगे वो हमको, क्योंकि मेरा तुम तीनों जगह मार दो। तो
प्रेशर ऑफ as far as qualification for the finals is concerned?
हाँ, प्रेशर तो हट गया है अभी क्वालिफिकेशन से। बाकी वो पता ही था कि क्वालिफाई तो हो ही जाएंगे।
खुश है भाई, ये खुशी जो है शायद जब कैमरा इनसे हटेगा तब जाहिर करेंगे बॉयज, लेकिन आगे की कहानी आप बताएंगे।
मास्टर सीरीज के जंगल को जलाने के लिए एक स्पार्क ही काफी है। फील द स्पार्क।
And with that, Team Xpark finally finds the perfect foundation, finally finds the perfect opportunity to move up far forward. What a way to end the evening for them to get that chicken dinner and get a big, big confirmation. Shadow, this was a phenomenal performance from them, and those last fights were just impeccable.
You know, I've been spending a lot of time with the players backstage since the very first day. And every time, every day, I asked Ninja, when is the comeback of Team Xpark coming? When will the comeback come? And every time he replies, you just wait for the playoffs. Today also, before the show started, he said, just wait for today and you'll see the comeback. And here the comeback is.
Absolutely, an important one indeed. There's the comeback that's in front of us, but also now the Philips one blade move fearlessly moments of the day. With no nicks and cuts, we saw a lot of these teams just slashing out their opponents, coming back to life with the way how we did not even imagine. WSB, the team who basically lost their entire form, finally pulling themselves back up and into that leaderboard and also into that top 5. We see Orangutan as well, slowly and steadily getting those important points, but a team that faced a lot of struggles today was definitely Team Forever.
And VASISTA as well. It was not a very good day for the players of VASISTA, especially the way VASISTA started off in the opening week, then the league week, second week as well. This is not the same VASISTA. So I expect better things. Yes, in the leaderboard, overall leaderboard, they are in a good position, but VASISTA is one of those teams we expect to see them in the top 5.
True. I mean, it's not the winning performance that we're already talking about, right? And that's a big thing and a big problem that we normally need to address too. But at the same time, Team Xpark finally firing up on all cylinders, you could say. What I wanted to mention was, in fact, that yes, as you mentioned, VASISTA was showing a championship winning performance early on. And right now, that has just not been the case. But definitely Team Orangutan this time around, since every single time they're going for that drop clash on the map of Miramar, this is one of those first few times where they actually have won.
Orangutan have been playing decent, especially iQOO. He's having his own race for the MVP ranking as well.
True.
Carnival Gaming, it was a fantastic day for Carnival as well because they wanted a chicken dinner. Now the qualification pressure is off their shoulders, especially iQOO Soul as well. Yes, they didn't get any chicken dinner, but I think iQOO Soul and WSB, especially WSB, they've got enough points that they can chill tomorrow.
That is true. I mean, as you mentioned, these teams always just getting activated in the first power play itself, trying to capitalize onto as much value as possible. Yes, that map of Erangel was not something that they really hoped in for, but it's absolutely fine. Because over towards the end, we did see some amazing fights happen between the teams, but it was eventually Team Xpark, and yeah, you could normally say that even the circle played a little bit of its own shenanigans over towards the end.
Yeah. It was in no man's land. The circle was like, I'm not going to favor anyone. I'm not going to favor Team Xpark. I'm not going to favor Godlike. You guys decide on your own. And Team Xpark were the quicker ones to take benefit of it. Godlike, had they had the numbers in their favor, maybe the situation could have been reversed. They would be the one getting the winner chicken dinner. It was only 2 men remaining and Team Xbox, they had the numbers advantage.
But guess what? The MVP for this game is again going to be a player from the team who did not get the chicken dinner, who's not even in the top 2. It's going to be Delta PG with 5 finishes, and having a look at the stars of the match, again going all out, goes for Delta PG, and even the best companion. The man was like, I'll do everything. I'll get those finishes, I'll rescue my teammates as well. But the final finisher goes in for the spray god, the man with 4 finishes, standing up to his name.
Oh, so definitely. He's always standing up to his name. All in all, I think it was a perfect day for the teams who were struggling in the previous week. They started off on a very good note, and I think they're ending on a very good note as well. Standout player of the day is going to be none other than Sarang with 10 finishes.
Absolutely. The man was firing on all cylinders, as we talked about, and I guess the interview with Suren definitely did give him a buff, right? So you know what? We're not going to take that buff away from that man himself. We'll send it down back to Suren for the interview with the standout player of the evening.
Man, you're right. He is the standout player of the day. लेकिन ऐसा लग रहा है कि सुबह से मैं सिर्फ तुझसे बात कर रहा हूँ भाई. सुबह इंटरव्यू में भी बात की, फिर तुमने जब मैच जीता तभी बात की. But Sarang, pressure's off कि अब finals में हम जाने वाले हैं. Obviously, that's not my question. My question is कि domination week के खत्म होने पे और यहाँ playoffs की शुरुआत में सिर्फ एक दिन का गैप था. Clearly, there's been some conversation. Tell us about it.
एक दिन का गैप था तो हम लोगों ने इतना ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस नहीं लिया. हमें पता था हम हो जाएंगे क्वालिफाई, क्योंकि ये फॉर्मेट में हम लोग बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट है. और कल हम लोग चिल मार रहे थे और थोड़े बहुत स्क्रीम्स खेले साथ में, मतलब टाइम स्पेंड किया, तो हमें पता था हम हो जाएंगे.
लोग कल छुट्टी का दिन था फॉर यू गाइस, नॉट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस, क्योंकि थैंक्स टू यू हमें थोड़ी एक्साइटमेंट मिली सोशल मीडिया पे. यू एंड गॉडलाइक हैव सम बीफ गोइंग ऑन, राइट? एंड ये कह लो कि नीति जो है, उसने कहानी जो है वो सेट की हुई है कि मैच में आखिरी जो तुम दोनों की बैटल थी वो गॉडलाइक और एक्सपार्क के बीच ही होनी थी. क्या अंदर एक और जुनून था कि इनको तो हराना है?
हाँ, मतलब गॉडल से कभी भी फाइट हो ऐसा होता ही है कि अंदर से इनसे नहीं मरना है, कुछ हो जाए. तो लास्ट में भी वैसा ही था कि 2 बचे, हम 3 हैं, हम पे जोन है कि चलो नहीं जाते, उनको आने देते. बट ऐसा हुआ कि नॉक आ गया तो हमने सोचा चलो मार ही देते घुस के.
Listen man, 10 finishes. Buddy, stellar day for you. Stellar day for Xpark. एक chicken dinner. उन्होंने अपने इरादे मजबूत कर लिए हैं. Boys, take it over.
I'm already telling you at this point, you know, it was not the case where they said, all right, now we've got the knock, let's move forward. They were moving forward to get the knock. They were just moving forward randomly out in the open. But wait a second, we're talking about speed, right? We're talking about how quickly you can move forward. You can move forward with this bike as well. And since we're speaking of speed, TVS Raider is our mobility partner of BGMS Master Series and goes 0 to 60 kmph in only 5.9 seconds. Now that is super wicked.
iQOO definitely earns the style points as well.
I mean, if only that could help them out move more forward in the overall ranking itself, because I think so they're at a comfortable spot right now, not that far behind, but you really need this kind of consistent performance even from the team, even from tomorrow, because look at Xpark already sitting at 56 with WSB on 46.
Revenant Esports on the 3rd spot with 40 points. Carnival Gaming on the 4th spot thanks to that chicken dinner. 36 points to their name. Even the finish points are looking good for them. Team Tamilas not having too many finishes but still 34 points. Good to go for the second day. Orangutan as well. They struggled a little bit in the placement points but finally 33 points to their name. iQOO, they were very aggressive today. Total of 24 finish points. 8-bit on the 9th spot with 27 points, but there are a few disappointments in the name of Team Forever, Revenant and Team Zero and OneBlade. The biggest shocker is Revenant.
As well as Team Forever at this point, because you never really expected these two teams with such a solid performance all the way to be down here, right? Because we played, what, 4 games? And these teams are averaging 3 points per game. And some even less. Now, if with this kind of cutoff list, if we're moving forward, you think about it, 3 points a game, that's 24 points for the cutoff to try and qualify. Now that, I don't really think so that's going to be very good, because again, since we're already talking about all these scenarios, there are only 4 more games remaining. Wow, now what are your opinions? What might happen tomorrow in a quick way?
Revenant will stage a comeback, and so will the players of VASISTA, I think.
Wow, I mean, that's very quick for you. But honestly, now since Bhavna said Revenant and VASISTA might stage a comeback tomorrow, that's going to be a storyline for the next day itself, because today was actually a very solid day for a lot of those teams. Since we talk about it, 8-bit as well, performing really good. Carnival Gaming with a consistency. Team Xpark with a mind-blowing performance coming out up front right here. I guess so they really received a humongous buff. But ladies and gentlemen, I know you have been enjoying all this evening, and thank you so much for tuning in, because we will catch you guys tomorrow on Android BGMS Master Series Season 3, powered by Garnier's Men.